Alright, welcome back to some more American Truck Simulator. Today we're going to finish the Hauloween event. Alright, so as always I got some stuff I want to say before I get back into the game. So a couple nights ago, for part 1 of this Hauloween event, I did the first 7 deliveries, and I have 6 more to go. So I'm going to do the rest and complete the event, the World of Trucks event. And I would always pick the shortest one just because, I don't really need much income. I'm actually still over $1 million because I haven't upgraded my garage. Alright. So I will do that. I will upgrade my garage in this stream. It'll give you 2 extra slots. It costs, I believe, $180,000. And then I can buy 2 more trucks. It's been a whole year since I bought my first truck, and I love it ever since. I'm glad I picked this one. I picked this truck. So, yeah, I know, right? We're now in episode 57, I think. Unbelievable. And yeah, 2 whole years, the first episode I released of this game on my channel. Wow. So anyway, so yeah, this is what we're going to do. What I'm going to do is do the rest of the Hauloween event and upgrade my garage, and that'll basically be it. So yeah, this stream won't be very, very long. So, and last night I premiered a big video of the Hauloween party. That's right. I figured it might be better to release it now instead of waiting until next year. But I'm also thinking to do next year I might do like a Hauloween party movie, which is basically like a compilation of the videos that I recorded from the past couple of years and put them in order. That'd be kind of cool. So yeah, and later tonight I'm gonna premiere the second part of the Hauloween party, which is basically towards the end and the aftermath. So that'll be premiering in a couple of hours, hopefully. So yeah, I'm going to get right back. Until then, I'm going to finish this. Oh, hey, 5Tayer, you're here again. Oh, we got 4 people watching? Sometimes I think the view count is a little off. I don't know. Seems like it's only like that for the live streams, but yeah. Why, hello, 5Tayer. Good to see you. Have you finished? Have you finished yours? Because you have until November 14th or 15th, about 10 days. So anyway, for those of you that were watching part 1, I believe it was the last hour and a half. Excuse me. The last hour and a half, I played this show, this New York sports talk show, the Michael Kay show. It's one of my favorite shows to listen to. Although this is kind of like my off season of that show, because right now they just talk about a lot of NFL, because we're in the middle of the NFL season. That's why. But I started listening to that show permanently. It was the Friday after the Super Bowl, and I listened to that show all spring and all summer. And then I stopped a month ago, and this is like my off season. But yeah, I have played that show in some of my previous streams of this game, and there's no copyright. According to YouTube, it's not copyrighted. So that's great. That show is not nationwide. It's only like in the New York area. but you can listen to it on ESPN Radio for free. But on television, it's on the Yes Network, which is the home of the New York Yankees. But luckily, I have that network, so I can watch it if I want to. So, but in part one, I played the best moments of that show because that show is approaching its 21st anniversary. Yeah. And February next year, that show will be approaching its 10th anniversary on television. Yeah. It was the day after Super Bowl 48 in 2014. So let's see what date that was. I don't know if y'all are seeing the calendar or not. I think y'all are. It was the Monday after the Super Bowl, February 3rd, 2014. And I think this game came out February 2nd. So that game will be approaching its 8th anniversary. Wow. So anyway, I'm going to play more of that show, the best moments. I have a playlist, it's private, and I put them in order. So, alright. Guess that's it. So yeah, I'm not gonna do any talking. I'm just gonna listen while playing. If you have anything to say in the chat, you can go ahead, ask me questions if you want, and I'll do my best to type my response. But sometimes you'll have to be a little patient for me to type my response, because I can't type while I'm driving. Don't do that in real life, obviously. I know I can just pause the game and do that, but I don't want to do that. I think you guys might find that annoying if I paused it like every couple of minutes and type my response. I don't know. That's just me. It's always been like that. So, alright. Guess we're ready to go. So, I'm going to finish this. And then when I'm done, I'm going to upgrade my garage. And then that'll basically wrap up this episode. Until, whenever. Oh, hey William, how you doing? Did you see the big video I premiered yesterday? I know I told you on Instagram and you gave me a thumbs up. So I got another one premiering tonight. This is the second part, which is basically the aftermath and the end of it, so... And after that video, that'll basically wrap up our Halloween season on this channel, and then I'll move on to something else. The next game I'll be live streaming will be Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury on the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I'm going to do a live stream series of that game, just like Luigi's Mansion 3, because there's so much to do. I feel like it's better to do live streams instead of regular videos. And yeah, I'm probably gonna start doing that in a couple of days. I haven't bought the game yet, but I will, and then I'll live stream it. Yeah, the reason why I'm gonna be doing that is because that game is approaching its 10th anniversary from the Wii U version. Yeah, that game came out November 20-something, 2013. I guess it was the week of Thanksgiving. Yeah, and that game was a big hit. That was a big hit. I played that game so much. That was a great game. There were so many levels. So there's a lot of levels that I'm going to remember, even though I haven't played it in years. And I've never played the Nintendo Switch version, so that'll be interesting. And just like Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm going to try and get to the end of the game by the end of the month, even though I got to the end of the game on Luigi's Mansion 3 on November the 1st. That was because the night before, Halloween night, the last 30 minutes my stream was having problems, and then I just stopped and wait, and I'm like, alright, I'm just going to do it the next night, and y'all didn't have a problem with that, so that's great. But yeah, looking forward to play that game and, relive the memories and stuff. And that'll be throughout this month. And then, of course, December, that's a big month for me and this channel. Christmas videos and all that fun stuff. William says, I'm good, man, and yeah, I taped a thumbs up on it. Yeah, alrighty. Cool. Alright, well, that's it. Oh, look, now it says one person's watching. It went from 5 to 1. I feel like this is not right. I feel like, you know how YouTube is. Seems like their numbers are not right. Oh well, that doesn't bother me. Okay, so I'm gonna start playing more of the best moments from the Michael K show. And yeah, I'm gonna get right into the game. Let me pause the stream real quick. I'll be back in a little bit. Please stay tuned. Alright, I'm back. So yeah, I'm gonna play some of these videos. You're not gonna see the video, but you can only hear it. So, alright guys, I'm gonna mute my mic and listen to this, and yeah, enjoy this this fun ride, I guess. Yep. Alright. Again, if you have any questions in the chat, let me know, and I'll try and respond back to you as soon as I can. So, yeah. Alright. Gonna get right back into it right now. Yeah, Super Mario 3D World on the Nintendo Switch. Never played that version, but I'm sure it's just as good, if not better, than the Wii U version. Yep. I'm going to do that in the... I don't know what date exactly, but probably later this week. Couple of days. We'll see. I don't know how long the streams will be. I don't know if I'm going to do one world per stream. It depends how long that'll take. I'm not going to speed run it or anything. I'm just going to... I'm gonna take my time, kind of like Luigi's Mansion. But I'm not gonna go for perfect. I'm just playing for fun. So I'm sure y'all would like that. All right, guys. And yes, I'm wearing my... This is kind of a good shirt to wear for this stream. Yeah, I wore this on the 4th of July. Perfect. Alright guys, I'm going to get right back into it right now. So, yeah, sit back and relax and enjoy the ride, or the rides, or the trips, or the deliveries.
And when you hear this phrase, this is leading me right into what we're talking about. It's time to do some truth-telling, everybody.
Yeah.
And it's something that Don and I have spoken about a lot. And people have said, you know, well, you really shouldn't address it. But today it really came to a head because a couple of people called me up. And you know, a lot of people are giving Mike Francesa grief today because he interviewed Alex Rodriguez and Alex lied to him. And I think that's ridiculous. You get the interview, you ask him the questions, which he did, and you could say, you can't force the guy to tell you the truth, whatever the case may be. But another friend of mine said this. Somebody called in and said, you know, that A-Rod interview probably cost you the simulcast on Yes. And Francesa said, no, that's not the truth. They wanted a show where they could control the editorial, and I wasn't going to give them that. Well, I don't know how to say this without just being blunt. Mike's a liar, okay? Nobody controls this show but me and Don. That's it. That's it. We have never, ever, ever been called by anybody at Yes and critiqued on what we said or how we said it and the truth of what we said. Now, let me take that back. Let me take that back, Don. I was called once. The first show, when I dumped the Diet Coke in the garbage can. Mm-hmm. And my boss at Yes, who's been criticized for making that move, yelled at me, said, you're too classy to do that. That's the only time that anything ever on this show, John Filippelli called me up and was angry with me about. So to say that they wanted editorial control, you're lying, okay? You're trying to soften the blow that you got taken off a great network, and you're trying to say that we are a house organ. Sorry, you're wrong. You're wrong. They took you off of Yes for two reasons. Number one, over the years you ended up earning a lot of money, which you earned, and they were losing money on the show. Number two, okay? It's obviously the proper decision to have been made because our ratings are better than your ratings were when you were on Yes. And I'm going to give you a number three. Maybe they didn't want to broadcast a show where somebody was falling asleep on the air. That doesn't make great television. So don't you dare impugn my integrity and my reputation by telling people that the only reason that this show's on the air is because we are told what to say and what not to say. One more time, if you say that, I need proof, and you can't give me proof because you're lying. Period. I don't want to get into a hissing war with you. I know the whole number one. I get it. I get it. But the bottom line is don't lie about me. Don't lie about this guy. Proof positive. Opening day of this year, what did you wear on the air?
Wore a Met hat.
How long?
All day
Did anybody
long.
tell you
Not
anything?
a soul.
You think that pleased the Yankees that he wore a Yankee hat on a Met hat on the Yes Network?
It was my avatar on Twitter and is still my Facebook page.
And he comes on and says he doesn't like the Yankees. He roots against them.
Say
and
it all the time.
This is a show that they control the editorial. Again, Mike, you're lying. You're trying to cover the fact, cover your backside why you were taken off this simulcast. I told you why. Has nothing about state-run radio. I take a lot of stances against the Yankees.
A lot.
Stances that they don't like. Nobody tells us what to do. And when we accepted this show and ESPN and Yes negotiated, it was made very clear nobody could tell them what to say. And it was agreed upon. So for you to put that information out, it's misinformation. And I don't know why you're doing it. You're a successful guy. You have the #1 sports talk show in the country, although we're closing fast. And you're making up lies why this show is on Yes. This show's on Yes because it's better than yours. It's a better visual show, too, and the ratings prove it. So please stop. Stop the nonsense about they wanted something where they control the editorial. It's a filthy, downright lie. Nobody controls the editorial except for these two guys. Get it? Understand? And stop it. Because now you're playing with my integrity, my reputation, and I'm not taking it anymore. And I've been told by a lot of people, let it go, you're above that. No, I'm not above that. I'll get in the mud and fight with you because you're lying about me. You're off the air for whatever reason you want to come up with. But I want proof. I want you to give me proof. I want you to give it on your show between naps when exactly we ever said anything that was editorially controlled by the Yankees or by Yes. Tell me when. Tell me one instance. I need proof. And I don't think you could do it because you're lying.
I'll tell you what ticks me off, too, Michael, is 13 years we've been doing the show together, and you're the voice of a team, and yet have to analyze and dissect and talk about that team. And you've been critical of the team, and you've ripped the team, and you've said some things that have been against what the team has because you have to do a talk show. And nobody has ever kicked back and said anything on the Yes Network. And I've said I'm no Yankee fan, and I wear the hat. But I didn't want the silence when all the critics are saying on how the only reason we're on the Yes Network is because you're the Yankee announcer and we're a bunch of Yes guys, when it's not true. And I didn't want the silence to be out there because the silence is almost an admission of the truth.
Right.
And I did not want that to be out there. You did not want that to be out there. No one at the Yes Network has ever told me, oh, you got to kiss up to the Yankees. Don't be a Met fan anymore. No. They take the show for what it is, and that's why I appreciate it, have so much respect for it, and I'm proud of what we were able to do, and I'm proud that they never got in our ear and told us what to say and do, and it really bothered me that that perception was out there.
And the Alex Rodriguez thing, he's telling the truth, had nothing to do with that because that show was long gone off Yes before the Alex Rodriguez thing ever took place. So please, whatever you want to make up, don't bring my name into it. Don't bring his name into it. This show's on the air on its merits. The ratings prove that on the television side. Our ratings are better than yours were at the same time this year on Yes and since we took over. So obviously they picked the better show. Not because they can control it editorial. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. And just because you sit on your high horse and you think you could say anything and have people believe you, no, I'm not going to let that happen anymore. My silence is not going to be an admission because there is no admission. What you're saying is a lie. You are lying, okay? That is not why this show's on the air. And I want you to quote somebody who tells you that that show's on it. Use a name, don't say sources, and give me an exact couple of stories where we actually told or said something that the Yankees told us to say. You can't because it's a lie. And I'm not going to waste everybody's time, but I do want it out there. I'm not going to sit back and let this guy bloviate over and over and over again about something that's not the truth about me. Because my integrity is pretty important to me, and I don't lay down for somebody in order to get an interview with that person. We got scooped on the Alex Rodriguez interview. And you know why Alex went to Mike? Because Mike was supporting Alex the entire way, saying Major League Baseball was going out of its way to crucify Alex. He ripped the Yankees, too, about it. That's why Alex got there, because Alex had a nice soft landing, which he wasn't going to get here. I don't blame Alex. I don't blame Mike. I don't blame Mike for doing the interview. I don't blame Alex for lying. And I'm not saying it's Mike's fault that Alex lied. But what I get angry about is when somebody impugns my integrity and my ethics and what I'm about in my career. Because I could point chapter and verse times that you lay down for people that you're friends with other teams. So don't tell me that this is state-run radio. Not going to put up with it anymore. So you can take a walk with your attitude, with your bloviating. Keep my name out of your mouth, because I'm sick and tired of it. I don't deserve it. I don't treat you like that. And you shouldn't treat other people like that. And maybe the way you treat people is another reason why Yes decided to kick your butt to the curb. We'll be back. Don't want to turn this into a referendum of the shows. Mike's got a lot of listeners, more than anybody, okay? This was just about him impugning my integrity and Don's integrity. We're not going to take it. He's lying about it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, that's it. It's not about preference.
It's not about doing a 3-hour, 4-hour show on this. After a while, somebody's going to keep kicking at you. You're going to kick back. You know, I try to do this show in a classy manner. Don does as well. But again, don't attack my integrity. I'm not going to take it. You're lying about my integrity. I'm not.
Yeah, that was the last straw. You can't have things lied about you. You got to definitely defend yourself.
Yes only want, for those that tuned in late, Yes only wanted a show where they can control, the Yankees can control the editorial. While Don sat here on opening day with a Met hat on for 4 hours. Because I'm sure that Hal Steinman and Randy Levine and Lon Trost loved that. They loved it. But nobody called. Nobody said a word. So nobody's controlling any editorial. And if you think they are, give me proof. Give me proof. I want proof. I want phone records. I want emails. I want proof. That's all. Because, again, integrity is a pretty important thing to me. I need proof if you're going to tear mine down. Let's go to James in Manhattan. James, you're next on the show.
Yeah, hi, Michael.
How you doing?
Don, and Mike, and the other guy. I watch the show and listen to the show every day. Okay, I work at night. But, Mike, I got a bone to pick with you. I know it's only 14 games in, but, Mike, this team has been terrible for the past 6 seasons. So no matter if it's 14
Wait a second.
games,
They made the playoffs last year. Terrible because they don't win a championship? Yeah, it sounds like you're a little spoiled. They made the playoffs. They've been terrible for 6 years?
6 seasons, Mike. They've been awful.
Well, James, your definition of awful is awful. They made the playoffs last year. How are they terrible?
Yeah, but how far did they get, Mike?
But that's not the point. You just said they're terrible. Your phone call is over. When you bring that kind of intelligence, I'm not giving you airtime.
Michael,
They've been
can
terrible.
Can I jump in here as a
Please?
as a guy who pretty much hates the Yankees? You, sir, are insane. This is my problem with Yankees fans. To be that spoiled is insane. This team has not been terrible or awful. They're not that right now. And we're 15 games in, and this lunatic, and you knew he was dumb because he didn't know what my name was. So obviously he's not a good guy.
But this is the problem, Peter, really in a nutshell. We were talking yesterday about the ticket prices and all that. What it really comes down to is Yankee fans, for the most part, not all, but I would say most, based on the calls and the tweets, they're just spoiled rotten. That unless you win a championship, you're terrible. So by James's logic, 29 teams every year are horrible. Only one team can really feel.
Mets were terrible last year.
Mets were terrible. They didn't win the championship. Only the Kansas City Royals can truly hang their heads and say they had a terrific season.
Let's do the math, Don. They won the championship in 2009, so that's why he's saying they're terrible since then. They won the championship in 2009. 2010, they made the playoffs.
Yes.
2011, they made the playoffs. 2012, they made the playoffs. 2013, they didn't. 2014, they didn't. 2015, they did. So of the 6 years that he just said that they're terrible, they made the playoffs in 4 of them.
Oh, and by the way, the 2 years in which they didn't make the playoffs, they were in it till the last week of the season and finished above 500, and were decimated in some of those seasons, actually both of those seasons, by injuries. Hey, listen, if your standard is, and it's not just Yankee fans, too, because we're hearing it from the Ranger fans, too. Oh, AV's got to be fired. Awful. They don't know how to play in the post. They don't know how to play in the postseason.
Right.
A team that has won 5 series in the last 2 years, they don't know how to play in the postseason because we live in a world now where unless you're going to win a championship, you can't be bothered. Here's what sports has become. Either win a championship
Or you stink.
or entertain me with a ton of stars. I mean, that's what it is, right? Like, I can live with you not winning a championship, but entertain me with a bunch of stars. That's what I want.
Your phone call is over.
And if I'm and honestly, right now the Yankees aren't close to a championship, and they don't have a ton of stars. So now in this world, it's like you're uninteresting to me because that's what it is. You've got to entertain me, clown. That's what most sports fans look at. They turn on the television and said, "Entertain me, clowns." You lost? Goodbye. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to watch the NBA playoffs. I'll watch the Warriors. Oh, Curry's not playing? I'm not interested because Curry's a star. I'm going to flip on the Ranger game. Oh, the Rangers have the audacity to lose. I'm going to put a movie in. There's no diehards anymore. There's no stick-to-itiveness. There's no patience. It's all just entertain me, clowns. That's what they want. That's what this generation wants. Because if you're somebody, and it's not even the kids. James sounded like he was an older man.
Right.
So that's all I want is I want you to, if you don't win the championship, you're horrible. You're in love with your own sadness. What would these people do? Hang themselves if the Yankees lost 100 games?
You could sit here and say the Yankees have played poorly over 14 games. Hey, they've lost 7 of 8 games. That's inarguable. But when you say they stunk for 6 years, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an embarrassment. Your phone call is over.
Guys, there's a really exciting story going on. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a really touching story about a couple, and it's their wedding day. And everyone's talking about the story. The couple is celebrating their wedding day, and the wedding day just gets so busy, and they're really tied up. And at the end of the wedding, they get in the limousine, and they're about to take off, and they look down in front of them, and there's a cheeseburger. And
this is a commercial. It's not a story.
And I got a major problem with that commercial, by the way. Hot take on the commercial.
Wait, that wasn't a real story?
It's a McDonald's commercial.
Yeah. I got confused then. I've just seen it so much. I just thought this was a hot story going around.
Oh, my God.
No, you're joking. Right?
I'm joking.
I
just saw the commercial
again. It's so funny you said it because I had a meltdown the other night to Nancy when that commercial came.
Stay sponsor friendly, but give me the problem with the commercial.
No, but listen, we all love McDonald's. Believe me, they don't even need to advertise. I really don't know why they bother.
Well,
all right. But honestly, so your daughter gets married, and it is the advice that we all have gotten on our wedding day is that it's going to go by quick, it's going to be a blur, and try to eat because it's going to be difficult for you to sit down and have your meal. So it makes sense that the father would get a meal for the kids.
Perfect. I thought that part was a sweet idea.
That's the meal? No offense, McDonald's, but that's the meal. They've been starving. They haven't eaten. It's their wedding day. They're eating a quarter pounder.
The father just spent $250,000 on the wedding, so he's not going to give them Ruth's
Chris. So get a nice steak sandwich or something. The other thing is, what do you get your filthy fat hands on it? Take it out of the wrapper. Leave it in the package. You got to get your filthy, fat, disgusting hands on my food and put it down on the table.
It's a really good point.
Come on, leave it in the. You can have it in the box. That's what you want? And he's been sweating all day with his fat hands in the tuxedo.
It sounds like he's Ed Norton. Came out of the sewer.
Shaking hands with everybody over and over and over again. And finally goes to McDonald's. He's the father of the bride. Those sweaty digits on the food. He's got to grab at the food and leave it down on the tray. He can't leave it in the packaging. Come on, that's what you do? You get him. That's the meal, a quarter pounder with fat hand juice on it. Come on.
I've never heard
You're going to go into a commercial. Give me something, all right? Go out and get a nice steak sandwich for him. Get him a proper meal, but you get him a quarter pounder, which is nice, a nice thought. But then you get your sweaty, disgusting hands all over with the germs. That's the way to get started.
The father and daughter probably used to have like little dates where they would go out to McDonald's.
Right.
So that meant something to her.
So leave it in the package. You got to. Who gives you something? Have you ever been given? Would Jody go out and get McDonald's for you and then take it out of the packaging for you? No.
Let me tell you.
Bag.
Let me tell you what, Don. What's going to happen that night? The germs she gets on the burger is going to be very little.
Oh my God! Now you're really taking it off brand.
All the more reason because now his fat hand juice is all over him and her. They spread it back to each other.
And also,
and believe it or not, luck would have it that's the night of consummation, and then the kid comes out all screwed up.
Oh my gosh!
So come on,
wow,
come on, McDonald's, do a better job, McDonald's. For God's sakes, you got and a quarter pounder. You don't even go with the Big Mac. That's the grand prize.
I love a quarter pounder.
That's the grand prize.
I would, and also, he got them only one fries to share. I mean, you could splurge. It's the wedding day.
They make it to be generous. He's a cheap, disgusting guy. A cheap, disgusting, fat father who thought he was doing something nice but completely screwed it up. And I think all the women will agree with me. If the mom was given the task, they'd be having a nice steak sandwich. Maybe they would have some real nice, maybe a
silverware. Yeah. It wouldn't be touched.
And you know what? It'd be in the packaging, all right? Not all gobbled up. You know what? Because they probably started out with 2 quarter pounders each and an extra fry, but because he fat hands decided he was going to down some burgers in the process.
I just wanted to know when he had time.
All I know is that go way off. Whiff.
When did the guy have time to go? That was my only question. When during the wedding?
Did you set this up with him or what?
No, I swear.
No, I brought it up.
I swear to God.
It was so funny he brought that up because it was on the other day. There are so many commercials that bother me.
Well, this one's been on nonstop, so I knew it would be on people's mind.
It's all over. I think it was on both playoff games yesterday, so you see it over and over and over again, and it just built up. And of course, Nancy looks at me like, "What's wrong with you?" But
why would anyone ever say that about
millions of dollars are spent on these commercials, literally. Get it right.
How could anyone say?
Thank you.
NYC Art says, "How dumb is that? I only cheer for the vets," quoting me. "Athletes really not true. You cheer." Do I speak English? Maybe I don't.
You speak English.
Maybe I don't speak, and I don't speak very well. I get that. But that's what you took from what I said. I'm saying that you give a standing ovation, sight unseen base. We don't know anything about these people other than the fact that they're vets. That's who listen, I'll give a standing ovation to a guy that hits a game-winning home run. There's a different moment. I'm not saying I don't cheer for athletes. I'm just saying that out of nowhere, I'm not going to give a standing ovation to Jose Reyes, who beat his wife and was fortunate enough not to get convicted for it, and then give the same standing ovation 2 innings later to a guy that served in World War II. That's the analogy, people. I don't understand why you don't listen. Maybe you just want to get a reaction. Maybe you just want to get your tweet read. I am getting some of the... I'm just muting people because I'm getting like the dumbest analogies, the dumbest comment. Are people really that stupid? Honestly. I mean, you drive me crazy with this garbage. You try to have an intelligent conversation. If you want to say something that ridiculous, call so we can interact, so I can actually find out what the heck you mean, so we can maybe understand each other. My God, did I ever say anything remotely like that, or why would you take it like that? I mean, I don't even know why I bother, honestly.
Hey, Don, you only cheer for veterans? What about when there's a good play in the game, Don?
You know, that was eerily sounding like an actual talk show host in New York. 1-800-919-3776. I'm gonna take a break. Take some more of your phone.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I don't mean to point out something else is happening, Don. I want everyone to only watch our show and don't change the channel, okay? But SNY is currently rerunning the show they did, the experts against each other, the Mets experts.
Right.
And there is nothing like seeing Chris Carlin in that bright pink jacket.
Beat the booth.
Beat the booth.
Right.
It's Beat the Booth. And my wife did a great job producing it, and Chris Carlin did a wonderful job hosting it. I thought he was hilarious. Have you ever seen a man of Chris's stature in a color like that jacket that he's wearing? That is the TV's not even doing justice in this room with the lights above it. That is a bright pink, Don.
That is.
A bright pink. I salute you, Chris Carlin. I love you.
I'm going to read one more. Just so
No, Don.
I just want to read one more. Because I've gotten a bunch. Because it's not just one person. I've gotten several tweets asking this question. So maybe I'm the stupid one. And maybe everybody else is smart. I'm really stupid. It's hard. DJD Range. How do you know those World War II vets never hit their wives? Times were different then. Before I rip and break this computer.
Oh no.
We know Jose Reyes beat his wife. That's the difference. That's the answer. We know. We don't know if the World War II veteran did it, but we know Reyes did. We know Reyes did. We know Reyes did. Go to break.
Michael K, unfortunately, because I love him and I care for him as a friend and someone I admire.
I hope you're not going to go where I think you're going, but go ahead.
He is currently in this moment shrouded in academia. Yes, he is simply playing favorites to the Met fan to try to balance.
He's going there.
Yeah, because they listen.
But you know how serious an allegation that is?
Well,
that he's
hold on.
compromised his integrity trying to win over people?
Now hear me out.
Why don't you kick him in the groin?
Now hear me out.
It's the same thing.
Look at his face. Like,
No.
I mean, hold on, hear me out. Oh, no, I won't want you because you'll do more damage. No, I'm not. You're devaluing the transmitter. Let's dump a bucket of water on the transmitter, see if it shorts out.
At me, everyone. I just want to try my
Listen,
best.
so he's lying to himself and the listeners just to win over the Met fan that he can't win over anyway?
I have told Don this
Oh,
off the air.
my God, the allegation.
Finish your ridiculous statement.
Okay, here's what I was going to say. I tell everyone when they come up to me and they go, oh, Michael, he hates the Mets. I go, no, he doesn't. Not at all. He's very objective, and I believe that to be true. However, I believe that the mouth breathers, the window lickers, and the window breathers have all gotten to him. And at this point, it's not him choosing. No, it's not him choosing to be biased, but he wants so badly for these window breathers to be happy that he somehow thinks, in spite of the fact that the Mets continuously play poorly and show nothing over any extended period of games that lets you believe they deserve to be in the playoffs, he thinks that everyone else is going to continue to play poorly and they're somehow going to magically fall into the playoffs. By a long shot, he says?
No. I'm saying, I happen to know the game.
Oh, but you deserve. Fine, but I'm just saying, we're now getting into who can kick who in the groin harder right now.
Wow, okay.
Well, I have less of a kick to get to his. I'm just saying that the Marlins are not as good as the Mets, and the Cardinals are not as good as the Mets. So whatever.
What do you mean on paper? You just mean on paper?
On the field, they're not as good. The Mets are a better team than both of those teams.
Okay. Let me pull my Google machine.
Marlins are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Marlins, they got D. Gordon back.
Right.
You know, Stan's hitting very well.
Okay.
Yelich is one of the better players. Has become one of the better players in the league. Arenado, they are a good.
Arenado, he's not on their team.
I said the wrong player. Okay.
Well,
Nolan Arenado is on the Rockies. Okay.
Thank you.
Who am I? I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to come up with a name.
Yelich.
I said Yelich.
You're right. They're all 4-6 in the last 10.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know that you can. And listen, this is coming from a Met fan. That I don't know if you could clearly say right now that the Mets are better than the Marlins.
He's been saying it nonstop. He no matter what they do.
I'm sorry. Their center fielder. I said the wrong name. I apologize. I'll sit in the corner.
Ozuna and Arenado, they're very much alike.
Now he's attacking you for no reason.
I was defending you animal, because you know what I thought what he said? I agree with Peter, but I didn't want to kill the show and devalue a friend. But if you're just going to have scorched earth here, I know the difference between a center fielder and a third baseman. I just got my names mixed up a little bit. But don't go after me, because you'll lose. Physically, mentally, don't dare come back in the studio. I defended you. This guy went after your credibility, and I defended you, but you acted like such a baby that you said, I'm scorching earth. I'm going after everybody. I'm going to kill him. That's not being a friend. That's not being a co-host. Make fun of me because I said the wrong name. Treating me like him.
Oh, wow. Now I'm offended now.
No, but I'm just saying, I've been working with this guy for 15 years, Peter.
31 days since the last
15 years I've been working with the guy. I'm sorry. I think he should treat me better than you. I think I should get more of the benefit of the doubt than you. I think that's fair.
That's very fair.
It's the 15-1 scenario.
Yeah, he's right.
Like Steve Phillips, the 24-1 scenario. It's the 15-1 scenario. And I defended you. And I said, don't go there, because this is the Michael K. show. And to say that he's pandering to the Met fan and going against his gut instinct to make that public is inexcusable. And I defended you. And then 30 seconds later, you correct me and then go after me like I'm some scrub. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it. Before
That's not right.
Rip and break
And this is completely controlled. I'm not gonna lose it. I'm not gonna try to rip the computer because I want to smash it over your head.
Oh, okay.
But you're not here.
That's an easy. All right.
I defended you.
Oh, this is bad.
And you know what? He's right. That's probably what you are doing. But I didn't think it was valuable to the show to say that. But now, hey,
But
all bets are off, buddy.
This is what's insulting, that you actually believe that that's what I'm doing, that I'm not speaking the truth. We've been together 15 years, and you believe that I'm just going to say something for good radio, or I truly believe it. The Mets are better than those teams. You can scream and turn red all you want. I'm not even listening to both of you.
Don, I can't believe you also just accused him of that. That was really unbelievable.
But not on the air.
Watching the two of you.
No, you just said it on the air.
Yeah,
You just said it on the air.
two of you.
Well, no, I had no choice because I felt like I needed to defend myself.
Man, this is a mess. Really is.
Go after me like I'm a nobody?
You little spit star.
I'm not you. I will admit that I'm not you. I can't be you. I'll never be you.
No, you're not the
But
voice of
I'm
the
still
Yankees.
somebody.
Somebody.
And not somebody a Jace?
No. Well, you're K and Jace. You're not somebody.
Oh, I'm certainly can. I can live with that.
Of course. We all want to be
I
K
can live
and
with that.
Jace.
I've made a fortune off of it.
Mike in New Jersey. Mike, you're next on the show.
Hey guys, love the show.
Thank you,
I
Mike.
just, sometimes Don's comments just really make me shake my head, and when you're not there, Michael, and I know Don's hosting, I just cringe because, the topics he brings up are just out there. And today, for example, his comment about, the Phillies are playing for it's their World Series. I mean, Don, really? I mean, as long as they want to get out of there as soon as possible, have this game go as quick as possible so they can get home. By no means their World Series. And it's just questions like, it's responses
Mike,
like
I'll
that.
tell you what, you're jumping Don here. I would agree.
Yeah.
This is the word. The Phillies have nothing to play for, so if they can knock the Mets out of the playoffs, this is what they play for. This is their World Series. He's absolutely right. I've been around baseball 30 years. When a team's out of it, they want to knock you out of it. That's what they play for.
All you have to do is go up 2 runs and they're giving up. They're not trying to play. It's the Phillies. I mean, they have nothing to play for. These guys have played 150-odd games. They just want to get it over as quickly as possible.
Well, I would agree with you in one
football.
sense. If you get on a team that's bad early, then you have a chance to shut them down. But the Mets don't have an explosive offense that they're going to get on a team early. And for the Phillies, this is what they play for. So you're wrong.
Is Don going to respond?
Tom, feel free to respond.
Pete Buchanan is the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. He's got this team engaged. They just don't have a lot of talent. But he's going to want that team to play, to do the best that they can, because these games are meaningless. But when you finally have a chance to play a team and knock a rival out of the playoffs, that's always the possibility. It becomes a big game. Now, when you're playing, if the Phillies are playing the Braves, nobody's in the building, nobody cares, they're just twiddling their thumbs to get out. I agree with you. But when you finally get a chance to maybe do something, look at the Braves. Look at the way the Braves played. Did you watch the way the Twins play? The Twins stink. Their bullpen is awful. They're going to lose 100 games. Every single one of those games came down to the wire. Why? Because the Twins are finally playing in a full ballpark. They're finally playing a game that people are paying attention to, and they came to play. I didn't see the Twins' will taken away, and they're worse than the Phillies are.
But, Don, I want you to get your name on the show, and with comments like this, it's never going to happen.
But
Mike,
no, I think you lose.
Mike, you
No
called
way.
up with an agenda, okay? You called up with an agenda to insult Don, and you're wrong.
Fine.
Your point is wrong.
No,
you should actually have a good point if you're going to
Poke
insult
the
them.
bear.
The Phillies have won 4 or 5 games, so it's not a bad team that's rolled up the shop and going away. So that was your whole clue. That was the thing, Mike. You called up so you can make a name on the show comment about Don. Good for you. I'll tell you what, your agenda's bad, and your delivery was even worse. You didn't even have anything good to say.
Poke the bear.
You had nothing. There was nothing.
Once they go up by 3, the game's over.
Oh, but you got to go up by 3. They went up 3 against the Braves yesterday. Think about it. The Braves stink, right? They're going to golf course. They want to get out. It's 3-0 in the 7th inning. They fought back. They tied the game, and they won. I'm giving you examples from yesterday. What do you got, a goldfish memory? 30 seconds ago, they had a 3-0 lead. The Braves didn't go to bed. The Braves all of a sudden started to hit. They started to manage. They started to steal. And the Braves are worse than the Phillies.
It doesn't happen.
Oh, you say goodbye. You don't get this much time on the air. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. Somebody disconnect the guy. Can somebody wake up and disconnect the guy? Am I going nuts?
It goes out the door.
Stop it. I'm done.
Mike,
I'm
you're
done.
wrong. Mike,
You've been
And
proven
thank you for
wrong
the
a
phone
million
call.
times. Why isn't anybody disconnecting the call?
It's
For
disconnected.
God's sakes. I mean, you were proven wrong time and time again, but you got what you wanted. You wanted to poke the bear and get me aggravated. But you know what? It took a moron call to do it because I don't tolerate it. Now, the Phillies may lay down and die, but there are enough examples to show you Pete Mackanin wants his team engaged. They may not win the game, but how do you come with that arsenal when you looked at the way the Twins played? Look at the way the Braves played. Some teams lay down and die.
Hollow argument. I mean, so he wanted to annoy you, and he picked on something that he didn't have any kind of facts to back up his argument. It's a joke. Listen, if you're going to come fight us with ammunition, not that silliness. That's garbage. That's silly. Mike, come on. You're better than that.
No, he's not. No, maybe the answer is he's not.
Now, non-sports guy, what's your favorite impersonation?
Well, the Morgan Freeman, when
Right.
people, the reaction to that, when people hear that. But right now, and I just did a taping at Gotham in New York City last night, and the Trump stuff is just, it's crazy, over the top, tremendous. It really is. The reaction that people get. And I've told you this before, and it happened last week when I was on with you. Right now, you're getting the #1 ratings you will ever have, and it's mostly because of me.
Isn't it funny, though? What is it? The funny thing about the Trump impression, right? And I do a really bad Trump impression.
I'd love to hear it. It can't be any worse than that Chaz Bowman thing. It really can't. And I've heard a lot of bad, there's a lot of bad impressions out there of Chaz Bowman. But Michael Caine has the #1 awful impression of Chaz Bowman, and this is the last time I'll be on the program.
When I do my other show all the time, whenever we're talking Trump, because on this show here at ESPN we don't talk a lot of Trump.
Right.
Whenever I do it, I just do the same thing. There's something going on, people. Believe me, it's terrible. But it's still.
But you know who it is.
You know who it is. But my point is, what is it about Trump?
I'm Donald Trump.
He always says that.
Yeah. I'm Donald Trump, and we're going to build a wall.
But why is it that people are so amused by an impression? What you're saying isn't even outrageous at all. That's actually what he says all the time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about Trump is you don't have to go that much of a caricature with him. He's already saying things
that are pretty outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, and when he says something that isn't outrageous, all anybody talks about is the outrageous thing. So I think it's marketing. Did I tell you guys the story? When I talked to you guys the other day, did I tell you about the story of meeting him and shooting the sketch with him on Fox?
No.
So back when I was at Fox, we did a sketch where I was Trump with Trump. And we're halfway through the sketch, and something went wrong, and he goes... He breaks it for a second and goes, let me check on something. Is this funny? This seems funny. Does everybody think it's funny? And all the way around the room, I was like, yes, Mr. Trump. Fantastic, Mr. Trump. Great, Mr. Trump. I was like, wait. Does anybody ever say something isn't good? And he looks at me in all seriousness and goes, no, Franken, that's part of the problem. I can't get real answers. So he knew what the joke was. So then he takes me, all right, so we get done with the sketch. He's like, you got a minute? And I'm like, sure.
And this is what? This is 4 years ago, you said?
Yeah, this is four or 5 years ago,
okay.
and it was one of the last sketches I did at Fox. So we get into the elevator. We go to the elevator. He goes, come with me. We get in an elevator, and there's a guy with gloves on, right? Because apparently that's the elevator operator has the gloves on. In Trump Tower, all right? We're in Trump Tower. We get stuck in between floors, which I'm thinking Journey's going to start playing and Tony Soprano. It's over. You're done, okay? So... He goes, I don't know, I'm going to have to talk to the people about this elevator. Like he deals with the elevator people, and he's going to fix it first. Oh, yeah, it was great. It gets better. So then we go down, and he goes, do you see that we go down to the ground floor. He goes, do you see that Starbucks right there? And I'm like, yeah. That's the #1 Starbucks, not just in the United States, but in the entire world. And Howard Schultz called me, the CEO of Starbucks. He called me and said, you're not going to believe this, but the amazing thing about this, Frank, is that it's on the second floor of Trump Tower. It's not on the first floor. So people actually have to go up this escalator to get to that Starbucks. And by the way, this is the #1 escalator. So then he takes me to...
He really did that in real life, though?
He didn't say the escalator
But
thing,
fine, but up to the escalator.
All that stuff is true, okay?
How does one respond to that, though? You're like, wow, that's nice. I'm glad your Starbucks does so well.
Well, I asked him, is everything number one for you? And he goes, if it wasn't, Frank, I wouldn't be a part of it. He's got a line for everything, okay? So then we go, and he takes me to this kiosk in the ground floor of Trump Tower. And he goes, do you like ties? Do you wear ties? I'm like, yeah. So he starts giving me all these Trump ties. I wear them in the sketches now. They're actual Trump ties, made in China. But not now. When I'm president, they'll be made in America by Chinese Americans. So every time I start to do Trump, I worry I'm going to get fired from it.
Oh, no, you might.
Yeah, I know. So he does that, and he goes, do you wear cufflinks? I'm like, not yet, but I'll start. So he starts giving me cufflinks, and then he goes, are you married? I'm like, where's this? Because I have a harem back here, and all 30 of these women are going to be yours. No. So he goes, he says, are you married? I said, yes. And then he goes, more importantly, do you like your wife? Which was an interesting question for somebody to ask, right?
Yeah, you don't usually ask that.
Yeah, and I answered no. No, I said yes, and then he pulls out this watch, and he takes the price tag off of it as he's handing it to me, the smoothest move I've ever seen, and he goes, she'll love this. And it's filled with diamonds, and I'm thinking, okay, so in my brain, without, saying anything out loud, I'm thinking this whole situation. He's giving me a diamond-studded watch. This is from Donald Trump, but it's on the ground floor of Trump Tower. This can't be real. So I said, thank you, and he sends me out into New York with it, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to get beat up and mugged. And it turns out it was just costume jewelry, but he played the prank back on me. Like, all the times I make fun of him, it was kind of him getting me back, and I'm like, that was pretty awesome. That,
right.
That was a joke played on me, and that was where I was like, oh, that was.
And you're sure it was a joke?
No.
Let's go to G in Perth Amboy.
Hey, G.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing, Don? How you doing, Peter? Michael, I love you, but you're such a Yankees boy. How you figure Gray Bird is having the hot hand right now? Just because he had 3 hits?
Yeah, that usually happens, yeah.
Come on, Michael. Come on.
How am I a Yankees boy when the Yankees are benching him?
Right.
How asinine is that comment that I'm a Yankees boy when I'm saying the manager is wrong? How am I a Yankees boy?
So true.
How am I a Yankees boy when I'm criticizing the manager?
How would you know he's going to go 0-4 tonight if he was in the lineup?
Well, how do you know if he's not going to? And how? You're not answering. How am I a Yankees boy when I'm criticizing the Yankee manager? How? Answer me.
Can you say what Mookie is
Goodbye.
doing right
Goodbye. I don't have the patience, the time, nor the inclination. Bye. Your phone call is over. You drop a Yankees boy, you get dropped, okay? Because that's so stupid. I'm a Yankees boy. I'm sitting here criticizing the manager of the team, and I'm the Yankees boy. Clown show. Omar in Brooklyn. Omar.
How are you? Good afternoon.
Hello, Omar.
Pretty good, pretty good. Gone in a great car, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of beef with you.
I can imagine. Overrated caller, by the way.
Okay. The thing is, my problem with you is, before the season even started, right?
Yeah.
New York Mets fan, this is our time now. This is our time. Let's go red. We are already in the World Series. Like, we have won the World Series.
No, wrong, Omar.
What do you mean wrong?
I picked them to win the wild card.
Pick them to wild card, but you said my time. What Yankees are doing. You know the history of the Mets. The Knicks, Mets, and the Rangers are cussed. I'm a Mets fan. I'm a Ranger fan. I'm a Knicks fan. They are cussed. I'm telling you, they are cussed. Because the history of the Knicks, Mets, and I haven't seen a championship from my team ever. The teams I root for. I am still looking for one damn championship. So before anybody, any fan of all these teams ever go and tell me this is going to be a great season, I put my
stop
foot
it.
very calm.
Oh, calm down, Omar. You can't have expectations around this team. They went to the playoffs back-to-back years. You love being sad, Omar. That's you love it. You love being sad. You love being a Ranger fan and a Knick fan and a Met fan because they never win because you want to lose. You want to be upset. You want to call up the show and have an aneurysm on the air. You wouldn't know how to handle winning, Omar. What, I can't pick the Mets because they never won? I'm sorry, Omar. I'm old enough to remember when they did win, all right? They won in 86. Did they win in 86?
Can they win in one life and Rangers?
Oh, you're such a loser, Omar. Oh, my teams never win. My teams never win. The Rangers won in 94. How old are you, 12? The Rangers won in 94.
But the thing was, I was never a Rangers fan. I just grew up to be a Rangers fan. I did not enjoy that championship. I reversed 1973 championship for the Knicks and enjoyed that moment. That when I was not even born to see that championship. I was not even born and I enjoyed those championships.
You're so happy right now, Omar. You don't even realize it. You're so excited to lose. Oh, you love it.
This is going to be our season.
So why, Omar, time out. I'll give you a chance to answer. Why do you root for those teams if you know they're never going to win? If you're convinced that they're never going to win, why do you do it?
I hope that they will win, but I don't want to rant about it because what is
You don't want to rant about it. You know why? Because it's more fun to rant when they lose. You're addicted to the losing because you're addicted to the rant.
No.
Yeah, you love it. You love it. You're the happiest guy in the world when they lose. Happiest guy in the world when they lose. Omar loves to lose. Omar loves to lose. You love it. Admit it, Omar. You love it! Admit it to me! Admit it! You love it! Admit it to me! Oh, Mr. Jeff Van Gundy! Jeff Van Gundy is a quitter! He quit on Yankees, he quit on Houston Rockets. You love it! Admit it to me!
You love it! One series win! Carmelo Anthony. Now Phil Jackson is trying to fix it. All the media. Oh, Phil Jackson is treating him very bad. What he has done to us.
Why do you root for them if all they do is give you pain?
I hope that they will win, but unless they win, I cannot be coming anywhere.
Nobody guaranteed anything, Omar. Nobody guaranteed a World Series. It was Met fans excited that their team went to the playoffs in back-to-back years. But you're addicted to the losing. You're addicted to the ranting.
Okay, please give me one favor. With the Rangers, please say that they will lose tomorrow so they can win. Because, Don, if you said...
Oh, I have the... Please, thank you, Omar. Omar, you know what? Thank you so much, Omar, for giving me the compliment of the power to influence events. Omar, you are the happiest man in the world because you love it when your teams lose. It works. Michael, there's a talk show host down the dial. Made a whole living out of his team losing. People love it. And Omar is right there among the list. He loves to be miserable. Because why, Michael, would you root for a team if you know? It's a fact. They can never win.
But you always say, even if a team can't win, you still have to stay a fan. So he's just aggravated that they don't win. But I don't understand what he was saying about you. You didn't predict they were going to win a World Series. You just said that they have the talent that they could.
I had the audacity,
I said the same thing.
I had the audacity to look forward to the Mets season. That's what I had, because I have the power. I jinxed it, Michael. Omar is like all those people that rip you for mentioning that there's a perfect game or a no-hitter. He thinks we have the power. So I wanted them to win in 86, and they won in 86. I wanted the Giants to win the Super Bowl 4 times, and they did. So I guess you can hope and have that hope turn into something. I mean, your teams can win if you're patient with them, but then there are the people that I think really enjoy the losing. Because Omar loves to rant, right? He doesn't call nearly as much.
Now, Andrew, I need a ruling, Andrew. Because we had tweeted out that Don hadn't ranted in a while. I think it's 25 days. That's not a rant, right?
No, I don't consider that one.
Now, Omar pretty much was ranting, and Don was kind of ripping him, but he wasn't ranting.
Omar needs another act, Michael. Can we agree on that? His act's
I
getting
love
old.
Omar's act. I love it.
Well, can we admit that he's miserable and he loves it?
I think people do like to wallow in their own.
I mean, he'd like if a Met loss, a brutal Met loss, was a line, he'd snort it. I mean, it's a drug to him.
One more for you here on ENN tonight. The second round of the Open Championship is wrapped up in Lancashire, England. Jordan Spieth leading the way at -6. He's 2 strokes ahead of fellow American Matt Kuchar. The sad moment of the day, though, came on the 4th hole, where Sergio Garcia hit a bad chip shot from out of the rough. He then turned around in anger and took a whack at a bush, hurting himself in the process. He grabbed his shoulder right away and was in clear discomfort. He did fight through it. He finished the day actually shooting a 69, pretty good. He's +2 heading into the weekend. Garcia spoke about the incident after the round, saying, quote, "It wasn't very smart. I felt like the muscles in my shoulder went on top of one another. It was a little sore on the next tee, but I took some ibuprofen and got a little work done on the 8th tee. And fortunately, it started to loosen up as the round went on." Mark, you golf. You ever lose it on the course?
Not really. I do love golf, but I've never hurt myself on a golf course, especially not in anger. I'm usually pretty happy when I'm on the course.
Let me go here with this. This is why I can't stomach golf. Is this the highbrow garbage stuff that goes on? First of all, it's too important to call it the British Open.
Oh, don't do that.
And
take it back.
And do not call it the Open Championship. It's forevermore going to be referred to it just as the Open. Go scratch. Seriously, I mean, this the pomposity that people. You would be embarrassed. No, it's the Open. It's not the British. No. The Philistines call it the British Open Championship. No, not us. Snooty little pieces of garbage. Wouldn't watch the sport on a bet. Golf is garbage.
How do you really feel?
No, you don't think that that's like really like if you had a friend that said they'd be like really.
Well,
first of all, you come drink beers in my garage. We don't call it the garage, Mark. The animals call it a garage. You come to my garage and we'll put on the telly and we'll watch the Super Bowl. You'd be like, you know what? I don't need this friend anymore. You know what? Lose the number. That's what you'd say. So that's what I say to the. You know what?
Lose
again
the number.
They can set the balls on fire. That the player that loses could like actually douse himself in gasoline and set himself on fire. Wouldn't watch a second of it. Go. No interest. Zero interest. Golf. Goodbye. If you want to talk about it, that's why we got Michael Kay.
Done. That's
why we got Peter Rosenberg. Mark fills in. I'm out. Please, call it the Open.
But if that is what it's called, like what if people started referring to the Stanley Cup Final as the hockey championship? You'd probably say,
Andrew,
look, dude, it's the Stanley Cup Final.
It's the British Open.
It's the British Open.
Are there other Opens? Yes. How do you distinguish between this Open, the Hackensack Open, and the British Open? Because one's the British Open, the other one's the Hackensack Open. What they're saying is our Open is better than everybody else's Open. You know what? I don't care. Go take your Open and close it. I'm done.
So, Don,
I'm out.
As a hockey guy, you do not like golf, right? It's safe to say after that rant.
I don't know how one has to do with the other. I don't like golf.
Well, if
I didn't like hockey, I still wouldn't like golf.
Okay, but if you know anything about hockey, what's the closest thing to a golf swing in any other sport? It's a slap shot. Ask Happy Gilmore. My point is, golfers or hockey players love playing golf.
I know.
You might be better at your job if you could cozy on up to some of these guys, play some golf with them, little inside information in the off season. These guys have summers off. I'm just saying.
If I need to better myself to golf, then I'm comfortable not bettering myself. And I'm not killing
Hockey
people
players
that golf.
love
Although I
playing
do believe
golf.
people that golf
They
hate
love
their
it.
families. I've said that. But never mind that. That's for another day. I'm just talking about my level of interest in the pomposity of this. If somebody said the NHL playoffs, the NHL playoffs are great, and every time I corrected them and said no, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. We refer to it as Stanley Cup. You'd be like, Don, shut up. You would. You'd be like,
I agree with you. I agree
Shut
with
your
you.
mouth already. It is technically the Stanley Cup playoffs. But if Michael, we're going to talk about the NHL playoffs coming. No, Michael, we're talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs. You'd be like, Don, you're a pompous ass. Shut up. And I would understand that. This is a level of pomposity that actually turns my stomach. So I will never turn on a golf tournament ever. I don't care if Tiger Woods comes back with a third leg. I am not watching golf ever. If it costs me, if management came in here and said, Don, you're out of a job if you don't watch golf, I'll find other work.
So Andrew, I shouldn't ask Don to join my golf blog and podcast?
No, what do you think? Unless it was about
driving with text.
The level of arrogance that we have to refer to the British Open, that I'm incorrect. I would actually be corrected if I said the British Open Championship. Put that on your blog.
Is this a rant? Is this a rant?
It's not
guys?
a rant because it's very calm. I'm not even upset because I'm looking forward to never watching golf.
Close to a rant.
You know how some people skip home to watch golf? I'm going to skip home not to watch golf. I am excited never to watch it again. I'm excited never to talk about it again. But because I'm a professional, if something happens, we'll have a discussion. I'm all for talking about how Sergio Garcia was a yo-yo and injures himself out of frustration, like Pat Zachary breaking his toe, kicking a step when he was a Met. We'll have that conversation.
Don, let me ask you something. This is a serious question. Have you and Goose Gossage ever sat on your front porch and yelled at kids saying, get off my lawn?
This is the opposite of get off my lawn. Don't you get it? The people that say, don't call it the British Open, they're the people screaming, right?
Okay.
They're the ones that, they're calling, get off my lawn, you Philistine. It's the Open. You said championship. Reprimand that boy. Reprimand him. He said the British Open champion.
It's officially a rant.
Throw him out. Throw him out of the club.
It's officially
He's
a rant,
out of the
ladies
club.
and gentlemen.
I'd skip. You threw me out of the club. You wouldn't even have to. I'll skip out of the club. I'll skip.
Here we go.
Oh, no.
And there he goes.
And
he is literally skipping around the studio. That is ENN for tonight.
You're going to get your steps in, Don. You got your steps in now. 11,000 a day.
Little pieces of garbage.
He's out.
Garbage.
I guess, Andrew, we got the rest of the show. We're good.
He has left.
Look, he's gone.
He's actually left the studio. He is now skipping through the halls.
He's going to skip down the West Side Highway back home tonight.
Golf is garbage.
Well, what do we do? Do we take it to break now? I guess that's it. Well, hey.
This is what I was actually hoping for. I was hoping that we could get Don on a rant, have him... Oh, he's back. And he's back. All right. You feel better now? You feel much better.
Much better.
Yeah.
Only because...
We're good. Nobody hurt.
Let's go to Ryan in North Halden. What's up, Ryan?
North Halden.
Halden?
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Really?
North Halden.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I grew up right next door to North Halden, yeah.
All right,
There's a
sorry,
Halden
Ryan.
and a North Halden.
All right, North Halden.
How you guys doing today?
Great.
Good.
You?
So I saw good, thank you. I saw two very interesting stats last night that kind of speak to this offensive line play. It was tweeted by Nathan Janke from PFF, and it says that Eli was pressured 27% of the time last night, which was actually sixth lowest of the week. And the big problem was that on 50% of the time he was sacked as the most. And then obviously we all know the problem with the offensive line, but it's 4 out of the 5 Giants offensive linemen were average and better in press protection last night, allowing just 1 to 2 pressures. So it really seems to me like
Ryan, you're throwing. Did you watch the game?
Yeah, really.
You're throwing numbers at us. He was getting no protection whatsoever.
Stop
he was constantly under. Get your dog under control and throw the numbers away.
Please.
Because I'm sorry, if you watch the game, he was not being protected.
Please do not, under any circumstances, please, dear God in heaven above, do not make football into baseball. Where now everybody, because they love football, so they're going to come up with all these nuanced statistics, how this one did this and this one did that. I got eyeballs. I watched a 36-year-old quarterback getting slaughtered. He got sacked 5 times. How many times was he pressured? Were they able to run the football? So that means the defense knows exactly what's coming. So the times he did have time, everybody dropped into coverage and nobody was open, and eventually the pocket deteriorated. Everyone realizes they've got a pylon as a left tackle. So stop with all these, the Pro Football Index, yo-yo Bumchuck tweeted this about this stat and that stat. Don't give me sabermetrics. Don't give me Fenwick and all these garbage statistics. What did your eyeballs tell you? What kind of duress was Eli under? What kind of time did he have to throw the football? Come on, stop it already, all right? Everybody's coming up with these now. Oh, well, this offensive lineman, only 27% of the time was Eli pressured from his left side on Monday nights when Sean McDonough's the announcer. Stop. Stop creating some narrative that everybody knows football better than somebody else. Your eyeballs tell the story. The offensive line sucks, period. That's my stat. You want a stat? You want sabermetrics? Don LaGreca tweeted last night or said on the Michael Kay show, offensive line stinks. That's the stat. Give me a break. That's what we're going to do, Michael? We're going to be like accountants now in baseball? Was it the Pythagorean theorem? The Pythagorean theorem said that the Giants offensive line, that their record should be 1-1. That's the Pythagorean theorem said that the Giants offensive line, that their record should be 2-0.
When I talk Pythagorean theorem, I sound like that?
No. The people that trust the Pythagorean theorem, the people that listen to the Pythagorean theorem, the people that sit there at their desk that only know the naked body through National Geographic, that do the math to come up with the Pythagorean theorem. That's what they sound like. Quit it. It's football. I've been watching it for 40 years. 40 years. That's one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen. And they have not gone this long without scoring 20 points since 77-78 when Joe Pisarcik was their quarterback. Patterson played Joe. So take that with your Pythagorean theorem. The Joe Pisarcik theorem. You're dead.
And please don't get upset. What I'm going to say is that about 2-3 weeks ago, he tweeted a couple of bad things about a fellow that used to be in your time slot that's now retired, and I thought was a little offended. Was a little offended because if it wasn't for that man, you guys wouldn't have your sports show.
No, one second, Ron. I'll take the bullet for Peter. Wait a second, Ron.
Yes.
First of all, we don't have to pay homage to competition that never really was nice to us. Number two, sports radio was not invented by Mike and Chris. Bill Mazer, John Sterling, Jeff Rush Jr. There would be sports talk, my friend.
And by the way,
I mean, yeah, he had an iconic career and all that. But for those that think that we should genuflect for someone who, by the way, has not retired and will begin working somewhere else on April 1st, I mean, it's ridiculous. And also, Mike was never kind to us, never gracious about his success. So for us to sit here and like bow down because he decided to leave his job at FAN, I mean, I've had arguments with people on Twitter about this. Sorry, that's not happening. Mike never showed any respect to us going this way. Peter did nothing wrong. To say that we wouldn't have the job, that's nonsense. That's why I never understood the big goodbye. He's coming back. He's just left his job. Imagine somebody having a day for a player who leaves as a free agent. That's exactly what Mike's doing.
Who's coming back next season?
Right, he's coming back next season to do something else on another station or another medium. And we're supposed to sit there, oh, kumbaya, oh, he's great, please. But, I mean, the people that are on Twitter, you guys should have mentioned at the last show. No, why? Why? Again, nothing but disdain and lack of respect coming from the other way. And all of a sudden, because he's leaving FAN, we're supposed to deify him? I'm sorry, that's not the way it works, people. You know, respect goes both ways. If it doesn't come one way, it's not going to go back the other. Called the pea shooter. Called the, oh, they'll never get close to me. Well, the final book of his life, he finished second, we finished third. I don't know. I was pretty good at math. That's close.
I know, and he specifically, and that was the thing people jumped me for. I specifically pointed out on Twitter, and people got mad. And this is why I went at Neil Best, who wrote about it for News.
Neil Worst. Okay.
Wow, I love that. And the reason I went at Neil Worst was because
now turned into a punishment day for the Houston Astros, as Major League Baseball has handed down an extraordinary punishment to the Astros for what was institutionalized sign stealing and cheating during the 2017 season and postseason. So this is what happened. If you just tuned in and you have been off the grid, this came down at about 2 o'clock. Manager A.J. Hinch from Stanford, good guy, kind of looked down his nose when the Yankees accused him of the whistling during this previous postseason, that was an attempt at sign stealing. He gets suspended for 1 full year without pay. Jeff Luhnow, the GM of the Astros, gets suspended for 1 full year without pay. Now, they have not yet announced, but my thought process would be that the bench coach, Joe Espada, is probably going to be the interim manager. The organization, although Jim Crane, the owner, is said to have had no input at all and did not know about the cheating, the organization is going to be fined $5 million. They will lose their first round and second round draft pick this year and next year. None of the players on the team will be punished, according to Manfred, a very long release that baseball sent out. Because although most of the players knew, if not all of the players knew what was going on, their level of involvement is not known and would be tough to prove. He also said it's the general manager and manager's job to inform the players of what's legal and what's not legal, what's on the line, what's over the line. He also went after, Manfred did in the release, the Astros baseball operations culture. He called it, according to Mark Carrig of The Athletic, quote, very problematic, close quote, and, quote, insular, close quote, and, quote, one that valued and rewarded results over other considerations. I've told you this for a long time, people. They are not liked within Major League Baseball. And I think within the front offices of baseball right now, there's a lot of chortling. There's some raised glasses. Ding dong, the witch is dead. That's going to be the feeling. Because the Astros walked around when you played them as if they invented the game of baseball, that they had found a better way to make a wheel. And they did. So in 2017, all that cheating led to a championship. If you're a Yankee fan, the Yankees lost to the Astros in 7 games in the ALCS that year. If you're a Dodger fan who lost to the Astros in the World Series that year, you're red hot. And I understand you being red hot. You might have lost a chance at winning a championship. But I understand them not taking away a champion. What does that mean? That's totally an optic. Would it have worked? Yeah, maybe it works. Maybe it makes people feel better, but that doesn't mean you make the Yankees the champions. That doesn't mean that you make the Dodgers the champions. But I will tell you this, everybody. A lot of people lost jobs. Joe Girardi might have lost his job because the Yankees lost in that series. Although the word from the Yankees is even if they won the World Series, he was not going to be brought back. But that's neither here nor there. We don't know. So was this enough? I think it's a pretty hefty punishment. I really do. The $5 million means nothing to Jim Crane. Nothing. The draft picks mean a lot. If you're going to keep restocking your farm system, that means a lot. Losing your GM means a lot. Losing your manager means a lot. Do you know that this offseason, the Astros have spent the fewest amount of dollars on free agents? The fewest. So I don't know if they're just phoning in 2020. How do they go out and take the field now? Do they have the same desire that they had before? And if cheating, Don, was propelling them, are they going to be able to win at the same clip? And if you're a Yankee fan, let's go to 2019. Do you start to think whether or not Jose Altuve knew that was a breaking ball coming from Aroldis Chapman? That was a lousy breaking ball, but did he know? All decent questions, I think.
Well, I couldn't disagree with you more. To me, this is a slap on the wrist. Absolute slap on the wrist. First of all, $5 million, that's pocket change to an owner. All right, so the $5 million is nothing. All right? A general manager and a manager...
Wait. I'll stop. Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros, just fired A.J. Hinch and Jeff Luna. Just fired them.
All right, well, that shows me how disgusted he was with the whole thing.
But also, it almost makes your point for you.
But it does.
So now they're not even punished.
Because, also is that, hey, we're going to replace them anyway. They're replaceable because the system is in place, right? I was going to say, all right, a general manager can't go to the building, probably can't go to spring training, but you can't tell me that he can't still be involved in some way, shape, or form. But they've already set what they are as a franchise, all right? So the general manager, no big deal. The manager... They're an analytics team. All we talked about how the manager has been devalued anyway, so anybody could probably step in and do what they have been doing and still win at the same clip, so that's not really even that much of a punishment.
But you know what? Firing Lou Downs, he's the genius behind all this. He put this whole thing together, and his assistant, Taubman, has already been fired for what happened during the playoffs.
Well, then,
so they're rudderless.
But that's a self-inflicted wound. Nobody told him to fire him.
Right.
But maybe it tells me how replaceable, or maybe it just tells me how replaceable these guys are, that he's able to throw out, look what I did. I fired the guys knowing darn well he's got guys within the company that can replace them and then not miss a beat. And as far as the draft picks are concerned, I keep going back to what Buck Showalter said. The punishment has to hurt them in the win-loss column for next year. Draft picks don't bear fruit sometimes, Michael, for 3-4 years down the road. So you might be punishing an Astros team that will obviously have a different general manager, different structure. This team, as presently constituted, gets off scot-free. None of the players got punished, all right? Their manager and general manager are obviously replaceable, and the players don't give a darn that ownership was fined $5 million. So what exactly has happened here? Does it even discourage them from trying to do something new?
Yeah,
I think it discourages. I just don't think it punishes.
Oh, I think
it certainly doesn't punish.
First of all, suspending them for years of punishment. Now they lost their job. If that's not a deterrent for other GMs and managers to stop the nonsense with the sign stealing, that's a deterrent.
I agree with you. It punishes them. But I'm saying now that they've been fired and they'll bring in new people, while it stinks that they lose them, how affected are the Astros as an organization?
I think firing Jeff Luhnow. Now, A.J. Hinch is thought of as a really good manager. All managers are fungible. I mean, some are better than the others, but it's not like they're going to be without a manager. Joe Espada could do a great job. But losing Jeff Luhnow is a killer. Well, he built the whole system. He built what the Astros are about.
But the Astros fired him. Major League Baseball didn't fire him.
I get it, but I think I like what Jim Crane did. He's embarrassed.
No, he's embarrassed by it for sure. But if that ends up hurting them down the road, it's going to be because they fired him. Major League Baseball didn't force him to fire him. Part of it is punishment. Part of it is a deterrent. All right? Any manager or general manager that wants to do this down the road, they reinvent the wheel, think of another way of cheating. They don't have to worry about losing their jobs if ownership is behind them. But the players get away with this, Michael, only because, in my opinion, because they've got a union that can support them. But where's the union for Luhnow? Where's the union for Hinch?
Well,
so those guys can easily lose their jobs or get suspended for a year. Nobody can touch them, but the players can actively participate in cheating and get away with it. And they don't lose their championships. Tell me it wasn't worth it. Maybe Hinch is thinking differently now because he lost his job, but he lost his job by his owner. But from Major League Baseball, Michael, what exactly happened here?
But I'll ask you straight out, what should they have done?
Well, you have to affect them and their ability to do their jobs while they are presently constituted. The only thing that could hurt them are draft picks that don't bear fruit for another few years. But all the players that won that championship in 17, won that championship in 19, Michael, they got away with it.
But they didn't win a championship in 19.
Well, but they won an American League championship, went to the World Series.
But they forever now have an asterisk next to their name.
But they would have had that anyway.
But now they do for sure, because that is a tainted championship, whether they give it to the Dodgers or the Yankees. And also, if you look at the history of baseball, Don, no manager has been treated like this other than Pete Rose. None. It's never a 1 year. It's unprecedented other than Pete Rose, who got suspended for life. This is a major punishment, as big as has ever been handed down. I don't know what more you wanted them to do.
Well, it just...
If anything, maybe fine the organization $20 million. Again, money is fungible to Jim Crane, the amount of money he's made from this team. But I think that he looks good today because the institutional disregard for rules by those two men, he said enough is enough. I don't want to be connected with that, so he fired them.
But even if you didn't do anything to them, they were not going to be able to cheat the same way they were cheating because everybody was on to them.
Right.
All right? But are they going to be
that,
affected at all next year by this?
I don't know if it affects them, Don, but I think that when you hand down a punishment like this, if you're Manfred, aren't you trying to stop anybody else from ever doing it again? I think this is pretty worthy of stopping it. Anybody if Carlos Beltran decides to institute something like this and he gets suspended from baseball for the rest of his life, he deserves it. This is an awakening for people. This stuff can't go on.
Well, you hope so, Michael, but it went on, and to me, kind of got away with it. And as far as the reputation is concerned, look at the Patriots. Their reputation has been sullied, Michael, but it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, people will whisper, but if the Astros turn around and win the World Series next year, I don't think anybody would be surprised by that. They're a very good team. So the whispers will be happening in New York and Boston and Los Angeles, but does anybody care? Has it hurt the Patriots at all? From a reputation standpoint?
No, it didn't slow them
and
down.
I'm sorry. You know, if you were to suspend a coach in the NFL for a year, that's going to affect the team more than suspending a manager. We've seen in the analytic era the little responsibility that managers have left anymore. So if Espada, who was a very hot candidate during the offseason, ends up managing them next year, you tell me they're not the favorites to win their division?
No.
They're not.
I don't think so. But they lost Garrett Cole. They don't have the same team.
All right, but not because of this. If you don't believe in the Astros, it's because they lost Cole or whatever from a baseball standpoint. But nothing that happened today is affecting the team currently.
But how would
other than losing the manager, which we're not even sure matters anyway.
But how would you have done it, Don? Just suspend all the players?
Well, I don't like the idea that the players who participated in cheating get nothing, and a manager just lost his job and would have, at the bare minimum, would have been suspended an entire year.
This is part of the decision that was handed down. Approximately 2 months into the 17th season, a group of players, including Carlos Beltran, discussed that the team could improve on decoding opposing team signs and communicating the signs to the batter. Alex Cora arranged for a video room technician to install a monitor displaying the center field camera feed immediately outside of the Astros dugout. Center field camera was primarily used for player development purposes and was allowed under MLB rules at the time when used for that purpose. Witnesses have provided largely consistent accounts of how the monitor was utilized. Then we move forward. Witnesses consistently described this new scheme as player-driven. And with the exception of Cora, non-player staff, including individuals in the video replay review room, had no involvement in the banging scheme. However, witnesses made clear that everyone proximate to the Astros dugout presumptively heard or saw the banging. Now, Cora's going to get zapped. Because right now they are investigating the 2018 World Series winning Red Sox, and he's the manager there. They're being accused of cheating as well. He was not a player. He was a bench coach. I would not be surprised if, A, he gets suspended. Pete Abraham, who covers the Red Sox for the Globe, has already tweeted out he wonders whether that would fall under the heading of enough for John Henry to fire Cora as the manager of the Red Sox if he gets suspended for doing this.
We'll see, but
because Crane has already set the template.
And listen, Michael, this would obviously affect the Mets, and
because he was a player.
Does that sit well with you?
All right, here's part 3 of the release. Astros' methods in 17-18 to decode and communicate to the batter and opposing team's club signs was not an initiative that was planned or directed by the club's top baseball officials. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. I want to get to the player part. Astro players. Most of the position players on the 17 team either received sign information from the banging scheme or participated in the scheme by helping to decode signs or bang on the trash can. Many of the players who were interviewed admitted that they knew the scheme was wrong because it crossed the line from what the player believed was fair competition and or violated MLB rules. Players stated that if manager A.J. Hinch told them to stop engaging in the conduct, they would have immediately stopped. Although the Astro players did not attempt to hide what they were doing from Hinch or other Astro employees, they were concerned about getting caught by players from other teams. Several players told my investigators that there was a sense of panic in the Astro dugout after White Sox pitcher Danny Farquhar appeared to notice the trash can bangs. Before the game ended, a group of Astro players removed the monitor from the wall in the tunnel and hid it in the office. For the postseason, a portable monitor was set up on a table to replace the monitor that had been affixed to the wall near the dugout. I will not assess discipline against individual Astro players. I made the decision in September 2017 that I would hold a club's GM and field manager accountable for misconduct of this kind, and I will not depart from that decision. Assessing discipline of players for this type of conduct is both difficult and impractical. It's difficult because virtually all of the Astro players had some involvement or knowledge of the scheme, and I am not in a position, based on the investigative record, to determine with any degree of certainty every player who should be held accountable or their relative degree of culpability. It is impractical given the large number of players involved and the fact that many of those players now play for other clubs. I will tell you this, though, and you know I'm a personal friend of Carlos Beltran. It almost seems like he has to be punished since he was one of the ringleaders.
I'm just wondering, are you going out of your way because you know the kingpin is a player in Beltran and you can't go after him because he'll get protection from the Players Association because this happened as a player?
Right.
But it does seem like that they are getting away with participating in this thing. I understand it's hard, Michael. It's hard being the commissioner. It's hard dealing with these things. But that doesn't mean that they get off scot-free when now 2 people are completely out of their jobs, right? And draft picks are being lost. Some guys have been punished pretty harshly for this, Peter, and the players get away with it because it's just too hard to punish them, that they're protected by their union, but nobody else is.
But Don, please, that's just part of my take.
But that's the logical thing.
But he's saying the guys are on other teams. He doesn't know the level of culpability. I'm saying the union has to play some role in it. But if Beltran helped organize the scheme, that seems like he even mentioned his name. Well, you know his degree of culpability. How is there not a punishment there?
Also, if they've determined it to be this level of planning, really a full-blown operation, how do we do something? How do we do this better? Well, let's come up with this plan. This will be effective. And then they benefited with championships. How do you not strip the titles?
Well, what does that mean?
It means a lot. They don't have any others. They would again be an organization with no World Series.
At least it's acknowledging.
They would go, we need to win our first World Series again.
Stronger than this.
It's way stronger than this. To lose all of that when fans talk about their team and they go, well, we won the World Series. Well, we didn't win the World Series. It changes everything. It changes history. To me, this couple of draft picks in baseball, it's not the same as the NBA.
What's to stop another organization from deciding to do this but leaving their manager, general manager, and ownership out of it? Just keeping it within the locker room, knowing that you can't punish me.
I don't see that. I think how big a deal it's become, Don, will serve as a deterrent, and people would think we don't want this kind of heat. I just don't think it's really a huge punishment for anyone except Luhnow and Hinch.
But
I mean, losing him, I understand losing a GM, but he already did his job.
Yeah,
he brought them great success already, and they're not losing that success.
But they're not
the team's still in place that he built.
But it's going to go downhill. This guy was the linchpin behind everything. He built the Astro system and the analytic-based Astro system. I'm telling you, it's a big deal losing Luhnow. Much bigger deal to me than losing Hinch.
Do you think they can now go back and rehire the sexist dude who they fired last year?
As part of this punishment, he has been indefinitely suspended from. He's on the ineligible list, so he's effectively suspended for life. He has to reapply.
Wait, who?
The guy Taubman.
Taubman is now because of this?
No, they said not because they decided that what happened during the playoffs, he is on the ineligible list. So that's more than a year.
Wow.
So I mean, I can hear what you guys are saying, and maybe you're not getting the pound of flesh that you want. But these punishments are unprecedented. It's not easy for a commissioner to do stuff like this and make your suspension stick. With the players, they might not stick. The Hinch and Luhnow sticks, and then to have Crane come in and fire both of them, which leads me to believe that John Henry is going to fire Cora, because Cora is going to be punished. And they have a new GM anyway in Chaim Bloom, who probably want to bring in his own manager anyway. So Cora leaves with that one. I'm not saying that this is a done deal, but if in fact the Red Sox are punished, well, the template has been set for John Henry, the owner of the Red Sox, by Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros. You got to fire your manager.
It just seems like so many hands were in this that go out without any punishment whatsoever. Right? The heads get chopped off, but you're telling me the body wasn't involved? That all the coaches, how do we know Espada's not involved in this? And he might become the manager of the Astros, knowing all the information that was already handed down to him. Like, I just don't know if
I'm not sure.
Cut the head off.
I think Espada was on the Yankee staff in 2017.
But this is just 17? We're not investigating anything beyond that?
I think 2017, and it seemed like they mentioned 18, but this, for the most part, is about 17. So...
But there's still a lot of other people, and again, the players, too. And I know it's very hard to discipline players, but they still... the partaking of this.
And if you are, in fact, a fan of a team that got steamrolled by the Astros in 2017, there's two ways to look at it. You got to make sure that your team didn't do anything wrong itself. That's number one. And number two, if you're clean, you have every right to be red hot. But please don't expect for your team to be awarded a championship in retrospect.
You're not rewarding a championship.
You take the championship away from the Astros and leave a vacant title.
I think that's what Peter's point is. Nobody's awarding the Dodgers the World Series, or that the Yankees played the Dodgers in a World Series that never had taken place. but you're taking away the only Astro World Series.
Right.
It's not acknowledged
You know
anymore.
what? I don't
and
have
the
a problem with
embarrassment that comes with that.
I don't have a problem. I'm surprised they didn't do that.
And, the players participate in this thing. Nothing ends up happening to them. I think it might be enough of a deterrent for other people to try to get involved in this, but you could work really hard to then try to learn from the mistakes of the Astros. Astros were very brazen, Michael. Didn't sound like that they were hiding this at all while it was going on. But there's a lot of people that participated in this thing that just got away with it. And it just sounds to me like it was just too hard to discipline everybody. But that's how colossally big this is. What if I'm a player that's languishing in the minor leagues because I got shelled at Minute Maid and I got cut by my team or demoted because of the 5 home runs I gave up in Houston, and finding out that happened to me because they were cheating? I mean, how do I feel? And that Players Association is supposed to take care of me. So if indeed Manfred went the way he did with the players because he just didn't want to get into a fight with the union, well, is that fair to the players that aren't in baseball anymore because of what happened with the Astros?
All right, we'll take your phone in about 18 minutes, so I'm looking forward to seeing what Buck's take is on this. But one of the things that we had a complaint about last show, or yesterday, was why $5 million? $5 million is a slap on the wrist to a guy like Jim Crane. I call it ashtray money. He probably has ashtray money in his car with that kind of money. He's a billionaire.
Sure.
So $5 million is nothing. That's the most that he could be fined. It's in the MLB Constitution. And who writes the Constitution? The owners. You think the owners want to be zapped with a $50 million fine?
So think of how disingenuous this whole punishment is, right? And how hogtied, for lack of a better word, that you have, or phrase, that you have if you're Manfred. Right? You can't really go after the owner because you can't give more than a $5 million fine, right? You can't go after the players because they're protected by the union. So the general manager and the manager get banned for a year and then eventually lose their jobs. So the punishment just basically comes with, who am I allowed to punish? Because I'm able to punish the unprotected. The owners are protected by themselves, so they come up with this fugazi rule that nobody can be fined more than $5 million. They're snickering to themselves, right? Because they can't really be touched. The players can't be touched. So I'm not saying that managers and general managers don't deserve to be punished, but do they deserve to be punished because they're the only ones that aren't protected? That's not fair, man.
Yeah, it's weird, and it puts the onus on the Mets, too, because, we did some background work, and Beltran was interviewed by the Mets and hired by the Mets before any of this came out, before the Athletic piece came out. So they could be excused for not asking during an interview because obviously they didn't know.
But why was he asked at the press conference?
He wasn't asked at the press conference. He was asked in a text right after it broke from Joel Sherman, and he lied to Joel. But he told the truth to the investigators. So now, what do the Mets do? Do they want to be stained by a guy, the only player that was named? Now, you could say that no player was punished, but the fact that his name was used, that's punishment. Because this is a guy with a totally pristine reputation, and that reputation is now shot.
Listen, they can get up from it and say, why should I discipline Beltran? He wasn't disciplined by Major League Baseball. But he was named in the investigation.
More than implicated.
And everybody that was named in the investigation has been disciplined except him. So obviously,
and Cora,
but Cora is going to be. And if the Red Sox fire Cora, then the Mets will probably feel the pressure to do the same with Beltran, unless they decide to fight and say, Cora was disciplined by baseball, Hinch was disciplined by baseball, Lunau was disciplined by MLB. That's why they were fired. Our guy wasn't disciplined, so we're not going to fire him. But the subplot to this to me, and I was reading a lot on Twitter, just trying to get the public reaction. We know the Mets are one of those teams that seems to listen to their fan base. A lot of Met fans are upset. A lot of Met fans feel like...
That surprises me when you told me that.
Listen, it's not everybody, Michael, and I don't know what the percentage is, but you're hearing, I don't want a cheater on my team. He's a liar. So if the fan base turns on Beltran, remember, a lot of PR was done behind the hiring of Carlos Beltran. I'm not saying that he's not a good baseball person, but let's face it. I mean, I think the Mets hired him because he was a name. But now that name has been sullied, so do they get the PR hit they thought they were going to get by hiring him? Are people going to buy season tickets? Or is this going to be some negative public relations because now they have a cheater on their team? Now they have a liar on their team. So it really depends on how the Wilpons feel, and also how does Steve Cohen feel?
He didn't hire Beltran. This all happened before him, but now he's the owner of the team. Does he want to have him on?
Now, one thing that's interesting, after this all came out and Carlos had been hired, Bertie Van Wagner said, I don't care what happened. It happened on another team, not on this team. But still, it kind of paints the way you are looked at. And Don brings up a good point. He was hired for his squeaky clean nature, the fact that everybody loved him in baseball, and they still do. And I told you that I'm biased in this because he's a great guy, but he did something wrong. And the players just scoot away scot-free. So yesterday, I'm not a big fan of rewriting history. It happened. That's all there is to it. But I was talking to a lot of people around baseball. I was watching the game yesterday. And a lot of people really feel the Astros got off very easily.
That's how I feel.
And they felt that there's no way Jim Crane should have skated this much. There's just no way. If Jeff Lunau was responsible for what went on in the clubhouse, then Jim Crane has to be responsible for the atmosphere and the culture that he set in his front office, which in the ruling, Rob Manfred said was a bad culture. Well, the culture is something that the owner has to set. He obviously set a really, really bad culture. And he gets away scot-free looking like the White Knight because he fired A.J. Hinch and Jeff Lunau. He got away with a slap on the wrist. Now, another thing a lot of people in baseball think, and David Cohn said this on the Yes Hot Stove show yesterday, he feels the championship should be taken away. Now, again, I'm not a fan of rewriting history, but why should the people that are on that Astro team have the right to call themselves world champions? How should they have the right to flaunt their rings and say, listen, we did it. Nobody else could do it. I'm not saying give the championship to the Dodgers, who they lost to in the World, or the Dodgers lost to them in the World Series, or the Yankees, who won 7 games. Don't give it to anybody. And there is precedent, by the way. There is not a champion in 1994 because they did not play a World Series. So if you vacate that title, then you take away a lot of the luster that the Astros have. And the players, although they're not punished, now Justin Verlander all of a sudden doesn't have a world championship on his resume. Alex Bregman doesn't. Altuve doesn't. Correa doesn't. And that means something to these players. I truly believe with all the money in sports, these guys want to be champions. It's important to them.
Right. Now, they're not going to forfeit their rings, and they can walk around saying, we won the championship. But part of winning a championship, Michael, and you've talked about this a bunch of times, it's part of forever.
Yep.
You will be a champion forever. No matter what people say, no matter what happens in the future, somebody will look back into a computer and a book somewhere, and they'll say 2017 Houston Astros champions. 200 years from now, they can look down and they'll see a vacancy. Investigate further. Why was there no champion award in 2017? Because the team that won cheated. And that will be a part of forever. So winning a championship is supposed to be a part of forever. Having it taken away from you is now a stain that will last there forever. So I wasn't a big fan of it either back when college teams were doing it.
No,
but now the more that I think about it, I believe it should be part of the ruling against cheating is that you vacate that title.
And like I said yesterday, it means the most when it's your only one.
And when people debate this, they go, well, they didn't take titles away from teams that had guys that did roids. Okay. That doesn't mean that they won the title. And a lot of people are saying, and it's a legitimate point, Yankee fans, why should you complain? You scored 3 runs in the 4 games in Houston, and that's in the ALCS. But the point is this. They won the 3 games at Yankee Stadium. The fact that the Astros cheated throughout the season gave them a better record throughout the season. The Yankees might have had the 4 games at Yankee Stadium.
Correct.
And they could be champions of 2017.
Correct.
So it affects a lot of people.
And here's the difference between
Yankees and other teams and part of the Yes Network family. Buck, it's Michael, Don, and Peter. How are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Nothing to talk about, huh?
Not a bit. Nothing good. I was listening to Jeff Passan today on with Stephen A. Smith, and I thought I would throw this at you. Jeff Passan said that he spoke to a very highly regarded front office person in baseball who said, I would like to think that if I was in charge and my players were doing something that was illegal, that I would stop it. But if they were doing something that was illegal and we just kept winning and things were rolling, I'm not sure that I would stop them. And this is supposedly one of the good guys in baseball. So let me ask you, Buck, I consider you a good guy. Would you stop your team from doing something illegal if it was highly effective and they were rolling?
Mike, it's very easy to just say, yes, I would, okay? Well, we all would, that's what we would say, and we'd like to think that. but it goes a lot deeper than that. I mean, this is, we all have decisions to make in our life, whether it be standing up for a coach or things that don't get on the front page of something. It's just, at some point you've got this battle going on behind your back between the angel and the devil. I tell the players all the time, you got to make decisions away from the ballpark and whatever. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? I don't know. Some people I don't think would take the joy and pride in winning if that was why you won. But, let's face it, there's a lot of people, Mike, you heard it, and you guys have heard a lot of the stuff about the Astros and people kind of coming out of the woodwork now that this has come out. Let's face it, there's some professional envy there too, their success and how they went about it. And I try to look at things realistically and go, wait a minute now, not everybody's a bad guy. You put yourself in their shoes, but first of all, anybody to say that they didn't know what was going on, which I don't think anybody's really doing it. I know a lot of the new GMs today, they have somebody come down for them to the locker room. I know whether it's Gene Michael or John Hart or people I've been around, I mean, they're in the locker room before the game, after the game, and you welcome them there because you want that communication, you want that give and take. And, Mike, I'm going to tell you, it's not being paranoid or it's just being alert. You know everything that's going on. You're around these guys 15 hours a day for 7 straight months. You're aware of things. You hear sounds. Your ears are trained to look at the first and third base coach in the first inning, to read swings. I know we played a club and we threw 15 straight fastballs and finally threw a changeup or a breaking ball, and they didn't even budge. And we all went, wait a minute, what's going on? Those are some of the things you look for. And that's why there was so much talk about opposition, about, some of the swings that were being taken.
It's interesting. We're going into the assumption that Hinch or any other manager could do anything about it. Has it gotten to the points where the players have such power that you don't say anything as a manager because you'll get shot down, that you won't be able to change it? That's why many people believe Hinch broke the monitor on the computer in the first place, because he didn't have the power to shut it down.
Well, I got to tell you, my interaction with AJ has always been good. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's articulate. He's some of the challenges that he had in Arizona, he was a perfect fit in Houston. I think he learned some things along the way, and he's gonna land on his feet because he's a good baseball guy that just got in a situation that I haven't walked in his shoes, know what's going on. I know personally, there wouldn't be frustration for a lot of guys because they would do that and they wouldn't tolerate anything else because, it's just, if you're going to get on somebody else for something they're doing illegal, you certainly better look in your own backyard and know what's going on. But believe me, I know when we had guys in Baltimore who were very good at looking at video before a series and thinking they saw something, and it would start in the dugout the first inning, and if it was there, then you got to get in the batter's box because a lot of things you see on video and a lot of things you see from the dugout you can't see in the batter's box. And then you might have to relay it from the dugout directly to them. And, now is that cheating? First of all, if someone's doing something from the dugout directly to a hitter and I don't notice it, then shame on me. There's certain checkpoints that managers should have to check that out. And you also have to look and make sure your guys aren't tipping things off. And that's a constant paranoia that coaches and managers have. That's part of your job description.
Well, but my point, Buck, is what if Hinch went to his players, stop, and his players said, no, we're not going to stop?
Well, okay, how are they doing it? My question, I don't know all the facts. Who was relaying it? Was it some guy from an intern or somebody from some department or whatever? I can't imagine a player's up there relaying it. That's where you start, and there's a way to stop that from happening. Let's just put it that way. It's too close to the action not to be able to step around the corner and go, what are you doing? Come on, man.
All right, so you've been in the game a long time, Bucks, and a lot of the people I've spoken to in the last day thought that the punishment wasn't enough. Your opinion, was it enough? Was it harsh enough?
Mike, I've kind of changed on that a little bit in the last 24 hours, not 24, less than that, but, looking at all the things that were at the commissioner's disposal and looking at how Mr. Crane handled things there in Houston, I thought his press conference was pretty impressive, Mike. He got up there by himself, front and center. You could tell he was speaking from the heart, and I thought he handled things really well out of pride, and he was a very successful man. And what else could they have done, other than a lifetime ban? And I just don't.
What's your take about taking away the championship?
It was something that I'm sure was considered. At some point, you as a commissioner and everybody have to also think about what's best for baseball in the long run. And that was considered. I think whether or not they ever do it, I think it's going to have some form of an asterisk beside it, though, even though it won't be. I don't think they could do that, all things considered. I'm sure, and I know it was something that was considered, but I think for the good of the game and the whole, I think it's still going to get that same punishment, even though it's not out there, out there publicly that's exactly what they did. I think everybody's going to look at it that way in a lot of ways.
Well, it's like, how do you look at the Patriots, right? I mean, do you look at those Patriots championships as tainted? You're a football fan. Do you look at Bill Belichick and say, he's a great coach, but, or have they done just so much winning that you don't think about it as much?
Well, look at this. If a guy hit a home run to win a game with a cork bat, how would you look at that game when you find out a year later? I mean, there's, doctrine of baseball. Hey, guys, everybody that's been in the game has seen some form of this. I remember the minor leagues. I knew their manager was giving pitches in Reading, Pennsylvania, directly to the catcher. I think it was Ozzie Virgil Jr., and we were relaying signs, from the dugout to the hitters. I think Jason Grimsley was a pitcher. He was a two-pitch pitcher. We knew every pitch was coming. But that was something where you decoded their signs just by looking at them. And there's so many ways to get an edge within the rules of the game that I think when you start doing it this way, it just opens up a whole different dynamic.
All right.
The commissioner acted appropriately, and I have changed a little bit. Most of the people I've talked to from my ilk thought it was maybe they could have done more. But my question is what, Mike? What would be more?
Well, I guess the thing that upsets people the most, Buck, and I said it just before you came on, it seemed like the investigators gave the players immunity for telling the truth, but the players kind of get off scot-free. I mean, Jose Altuve got a $150 million extension after that year, all those ill-gotten gains. I'm not saying you take away the money, but don't the players deserve to be punished because they took part in it?
You can make that case. Maybe they have been in some form or fashion, but I think that's trying to imply that they're not good players and they wouldn't have gotten that anyway. I think that's what's frustrating for a lot of people. These are great players. I mean, there's such a lure to even get more of an edge. Everybody's always looking for that extra edge, and they were so good analytically, and that it makes you wonder how much is enough. And somebody's always going to push the envelope, and that's what's, I'm sure, a little scary. You're in a very competitive business. There's only 30 teams in the world. These are the best players in the world. What's the separator? And everybody's looking for that separator.
Yeah, but I laugh at that, though, when, they're good players. So obviously, Buck, to get to that level, it's like the argument why the guys who did PEDs, they couldn't make them hit the ball. But there's got to be an advantage to it or it wouldn't be done.
Right. I'm not arguing with you, Mike. I understand where you're coming from, but what are they going to do? Rescind all the contracts? We have a lot of takes on it. Okay, well, what's the action you take?
Right.
Do you avoid every contract? What is? You put yourself in the commissioner's shoes. At what point, you're a protector of the game. You're hired basically by the owners and by Major League Baseball to protect the game as you go forward. Okay, here's all these things that are derivatives. How about all the pitching coaches and people that got fired, pitchers that no longer maybe...
Right.
I think somebody made a good point about the tweener pitcher that's trying to get that opportunity and he gets beat around. But look at all the people that it affected. So how do you rescind that? Do you make every contract null and void? And then, there's one thing to say these things. Yes, you're true, but what's the answer? How do you institute some punishment?
And because you can't do a lot of the things you suggested, Buck, taking away the championship, to me, seems the easiest thing to do. I really don't see the negative in it. Matter of fact, I believe it protects baseball. Because what it tells you is that we're not going to tolerate cheaters. We're not going to tolerate a championship that's tainted at that level.
Well, some people may say maybe they already have. taking it away in some form or fashion.
And it would also look bad for baseball because if the Red Sox also cheated in 2018, all of a sudden you vacated 2 titles. How would that make the sport?
How did it look in '94, where greed cost a World Series? I mean, this is unfortunately the price that has to be paid here. But is it okay that you could have 2 teams cheating back to back and nothing seems to happen to them?
Well, I've learned through the years, be careful about, throwing stones somewhere else. You better make sure your own backyard is in good shape. I know we went through that thing with Toronto, with Baltimore, and I think they just worked hard at it. I know they, before the game, after the game, talking to people there, nobody can keep a secret in baseball. That's the most amazing thing to me, that it took this long for somebody to say something. And in Toronto, they were great at it. And when they got a man on first or a man on second, I mean, look out. But it was only 2 or 3 guys. And it was the last team I really thought were constantly giving signs were the old Brewers years ago, because they played together forever. And there was a real fraternity there in how they did it. But, shame on you as an opposition if you don't. I really think that Washington, if you watch how that series went down, they did a lot of precautions on every pitch that, there was suspicion there. They weren't going to go home with the idea that they didn't give themselves the best chance to win. The thing that hit me, Mike, was looking at the record home and away in the playoffs. My gosh, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and then it's weird because last year they lost every home game. It's really hard to figure out. I'm talking with Buck Showalter. Buck, before we let you go, so this Astro job is now open.
Yep.
There's a possibility the Red Sox job could be open.
Yep.
There's an outside possibility that the Met job could be open. That's doubtful, but we'll see. Are those desirable jobs for a baseball man now, or have the jobs been tainted?
That's a good question, Mike. I don't think the job itself has been tainted. I think you always look at something that, you might bring to a situation regardless of who it may be, whether it's someone like Espada or John Gibbons or whoever. You look at, and I'm sure Mr. Crane's going to look at that very astutely and try to figure out, what they're in need of. But, it'd be a tough job. It certainly would be, and their ability to sustain it in the future has been kind of cramped, so to speak. But people that like a challenge and like a situation that jobs that are available, whether it be in Baltimore when I went in there, or any of these jobs, they're open and available because they're a tough situation for whatever reason, whether it be payroll, whether there are ways to do everything. It's just, do you have an idea of what needs to be brought, and can you bring it?
Don, you want to ask, should I?
No.
Go ahead, Mike.
Have you been called by the Astros?
I didn't want to be the cause of them hanging up.
Have you been called by the Astros?
Mike, if I had, I certainly wouldn't talk to you guys about it, but, I have a lot of respect for all those situations. We all weigh in on things that we're not completely knowledgeable about everything going on, and I have a lot of respect for things that I don't necessarily know about. It's like, I don't know your job. I don't know a lot of the challenges that you guys have, and to weigh in smugly about, exactly what they should have done, shouldn't do, and this and that, whatever. Until you walk a mile in the man's shoes, you got to be careful about it. I'm trying to maintain that. And, I wish it never happened, and I wish A.J. Hinch and Jeff were still the general manager, but it did. And now it's, what are you going to do about it to go forward?
If any of those teams hired you, it'd be an outstanding decision.
Wow, nice comment.
Big
from Don.
endorsement from Don there.
You got Don's endorsement, Buck.
Well, be careful what you wish for.
Buck, thanks a lot, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Good luck to you guys.
Thanks,
hey,
Buck.
How about you didn't talk about Clemson. Come on, man.
Oh, we talked about it. I mean, what did you think?
What was your take? I was kind of disappointed. I felt bad for the quarterback for Clemson. He had a tough night.
But you know what I said at the beginning of the show? He had a tough night because LSU was good. He didn't have a tough night because he had a tough night.
Exactly. And I tell you, he showed me something in the semifinal game. He got up off the deck, said, "The heck with you guys. I'm going to take it to you." And just watching those guys compete, that's pure sports. That was a lot of fun watching that. And I hope people just step back and go, boy, those were two great sports teams competing at a very high level. It was as advertised.
Buck, I couldn't help but notice you didn't bring up the Ravens' performance on Saturday.
That hurt. That hurt. I know John well, and I think a lot of him. I call him a friend. And
it was ugly,
I text
huh?
with him now and then. It just, you realize when it's like the playoffs in baseball. You grind like hell to have a chance to roll the dice in October, and when you're dealing with that level of people, anything can happen. I mean, you look on paper, how's anybody going to stop Henry? I mean, how are you going to stop that? If those guys get ahead, you're talking about eat a clock up. My gosh.
Yeah, they're very good.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
I felt for John. I love the fact that John stepped out and went in a direction with Jackson that a lot of people weren't willing to do, and got proved to be right, and surrounded himself with a proper person. And I love Ozzie. Ozzie Newsome, I think he's one of the most underrated general managers in the history of the game, and I know he's still around it a lot. Okay, I'm done. God bless.
Talk to you soon, Buck.
Bye, Buck.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's not just the NFL, Jalen. But it's also the logo on the helmet, the whole thing.
Okay,
I'll
go
kit and
first.
caboodle.
Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys did not make the list.
Oh, come on. That's just Giants bias.
Well, no, wait, what are we talking about? All right, is that star iconic? Yeah. But you know what? I think that blue uniform they use is repug with the star on the shoulders. And I've got no love at all for that uniform as far as aesthetically pleasing. Is it classic? Yeah, but it's not my top 5.
Well, I'm
Peter.
out.
Thank you.
You're out. Go ahead.
I know, I got to remember, because I know there are a couple I've heard you say that you believe are gorgeous. I'm actually going to, I believe you like the Redskins. I believe you have the Redskins as top 5 uniform.
I do not have the Redskins there at all.
Not at all.
Because it's also a very, very uncomfortable name and everything, too. I didn't really know.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to put that in. Although I will say, while it may be offensive, our logo is tremendous. Now,
I got one.
All right, go ahead.
I think I got one. Because I like this uniform. I like the colors. I like the whole kit and caboodle. Let's go Miami Dolphins.
I have the Miami Dolphins at 4. I'm with you, Michael. It's really nice with the aqua jersey, and even though they changed the dolphin, it's still a classic logo. And one of the really cool things about doing the Jets back in the day, you'll appreciate this story. When we used to do it way out in the parking lot, Greg was able to throw his muscle around and get a cart to take us into the stadium for the start of the pregame. In fact, one day, Woody Johnson actually jumped onto the cart, which was pretty cool. But one of the great things we got to do is we would pull in to the tunnel just as the team the Jets were playing were waiting to go on the field for warm-ups. So when you'd see that classic uniform up close, it really was just gorgeous and stunning. So I've got the Dolphins at 4.
I don't think you don't have any New York teams. I know that.
No.
Right? No Giants, no Jets. They're a
No.
How about the San Francisco 49ers?
Don't have the San Francisco 49ers.
Interesting. Peter's
I'm
over
not in love
2.
with the red. The 49, the logo is very plain. No.
I got one.
Yes.
As I like it. Again, I like the colors. Carolina Panthers.
Don't love the Panthers
No,
either.
I
think
hate
they
it.
could
It's
do
repug.
more
I'm
with
gonna-
the Panthers. I don't like the silver.
I'm going to throw one at you.
Yeah.
I love the colors. I think the logo is great. The Baltimore Ravens.
Thought about the Ravens because I do love the color purple, but I don't like their logo. It's very noisy with the Maryland flag. Hey, listen, this is preference, Michael.
How about the Steelers? The Steelers is classic. You got to go
Steelers is classic, but just not in love with just the simple
No,
black.
I got
and
one.
gold, Not in.
I got one.
Yes.
Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle Seahawks number 3. And believe it or not, especially when they wear the fluorescent green. But it's a great logo. It's a great color blue. I like how they incorporate the green. I got Seattle at number 3.
I think that's a horrible pick by you.
Thank you. I think, why don't you go traditional, Peter? Because Don's old. See if traditional works.
Let's
an
go
old-time team.
No, let's go to an old-time team. Maybe a team that appeared in the very in a very early Super Bowl. How about this year's Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs?
Kansas City Chiefs number 1.
Wow.
It is just a gorgeous
What
red.
can I
Am I
say?
wrong? It is a gorgeous red. It just pops, and you work in the yellow, I think, especially when they wear their home jerseys. But even the white, the red just pops with the yellow. I love the logo. It's classic. I love the Chiefs. I got it at number 1.
How about the Green Bay Packers, Don?
Not in love with the Green Bay Packers. Again, it's a G.
What a joke.
Doesn't do it for me.
Hey, you know what? We'll stay in that division, though. How about the Bears?
No Bears. Just a C. Doesn't do anything for me at all.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, how about the Lions? Let's just finish out the whole division.
I got no Lions. You want me to just round it out for you? Because you
no
just
Vikings
grasping
either,
at straws. No, Vikings at 5. I love the color purple. It's classic. The horn, I think, is great. It has really been pretty much unchanged since they came into the league in 1960. I think it's a very underrated uniform.
You know what?
Vikings at 5.
Let's go through the R.J. Bell specials. How about the Bengals?
No Bengals.
Eagles?
No Eagles. This is a classic, though, because it's got one of the best logos, I think, in sports, period.
That's the one that's left?
It matches the name, and it's the one team.
Oh, the Raiders.
This shade right, and that's the Oakland Raiders at 2, or I guess the Vegas Raiders is what we should say right now. Everybody tries to get that black to work for them, but nobody can match it the way they get the silver and black. And the logo is just absolutely classic, right? I mean, it's like opposite of what the Buccaneers had. It is the perfect Raider with the eye patch. It just works for what they're about, and everybody wants that black. The Falcons have tried it. Everybody's tried to get that intimidating black. Nobody's been able to match the Raiders. So I got the Vikings at 5, the Dolphins at 4, Seahawks 3, Raiders 2, Chiefs 1.
Beautiful job by Don on the daily list. Wow. First show that we've had all 3 of our segments in. And I think mine was the best.
For Donnie's top 5 list.
Strap it in.
Okay, Kay. Let's see what you got.
Come at me, nerds. Come at me.
It's the Daily Mike. Take it away, Michael.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
It's like when Pat Sajak took over for Chuck Woolery. Chuck Woolery was actually the first Wheel of Fortune host. Did very well. Don's done great. So we're going to start off with a Don-inspired list.
Okay.
We're going to go with the top 5 Don LaGreca rants.
So you went easy. All right.
No, but it wasn't that easy because there's been so many great ones. How many days, RJ, has there been without a rant?
We right now are, I believe, at 174.
174. That's over 5 months.
Yeah, 200. Here we come.
Unbelievable.
All right, so the top 5 Don LaGreca rants. Don, why don't you start?
All right, I will start, and I will say the fix that, look at this garbage rant would be, I think, number 1.
Well, I thought of that.
Wow.
But it did not make the top 5.
Wow, Peter.
It did not make the top 5.
Wow.
Well, I know. I'm surprised. I know one that did, and that would be Ed Kranepool.
Ed Kranepool is the number 1 Don rant. Let's listen to some of it.
I bring up Ed Kranepool because poor Ed Kranepool came up when he was 17 years old, spent his entire career as a Met. When David Wright was breaking every offensive record, he was breaking Ed Kranepool's records, Michael. Ed Kranepool. That's your guy. That's your forever guy. Not Ruth, not Gehrig, not Mantle, not DiMaggio, not Berra, not Jeter, not Pettit, not Andujar, not Torreyes, not Judge, not Bird.
Not Bird.
Ed Kranepool.
That's number 1.
Kranepool.
Number 1. There you have it.
There's 90% of this audience right now that couldn't pick Ed Kranepool out of a lineup. If Ed Kranepool picked them up at the airport, they'd say, "Hey, dude, what's your name? Can you take me to Midtown? You played for the Met? That's cool, man. When did you play for the Met? That's awesome, dude. That's your forever player, Ed bleeping Kranepool."
That's number 1. That's number 1, Peter.
I'm very good, thank you. And I just love that when he's naming great players, he ran out of great players and
went to
mentioned
Ronald Torreyes
and Greg Bird.
Well,
all right, Don.
In the moment, Greg Bird wasn't.
Don, next.
How about the Matt Forte?
Oh yeah.
You know, I thought of it.
Oh my God!
But it did not make the list.
Wow.
Tell me who I'm going to take out. When you hear the whole list, tell me who I take out.
All right, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing because you know what? Maybe I'm a little too close to it, you know? Because I got my personal favorites, but I don't know what resonates with everybody.
All right, Peter, you go.
I'm guessing you didn't include Smack Your Face Dead as a rant, because that was simply him becoming dangerous and maniacal.
I thought of it, but it did not make it. Don.
I was thinking about the Jose Reyes.
Number 2, Jose Reyes. Let's listen.
Before I rip and break this computer.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
We know Jose Reyes beat his wife. That's the difference. That's the answer. We know. We don't know if the World War II veteran did it, but we know Reyes did. We know Reyes did. We know Reyes did.
Number 2.
It's honestly, it's more insane in retrospect.
Yeah.
Than I think any of us could have realized. It's actually alarming when you go back and listen to it.
Peter talked over the throw too.
Yeah. You have another one, Peter?
What about recently? What about Gil?
I thought about it. Didn't make the list.
Wow. These are some epic ones that did not make the list.
There's so many great ones. Don.
Now, these are only just Michael K. show, right? Because I had some great ones back in the day.
Well, you arguing with Nancy didn't make the list.
No, come on. I did do shows that had nothing to do with you, Mike.
I did notice as I was going through a lot of these, a lot of the rants take place when I'm not there.
Oh, so the golf is garbage?
You know, I thought about it.
Wow.
But it did not make the list.
Now, the fact that Mark Teixeira was there like a scared bird, Peter, I think really made that rant.
Right. Understandably.
I was dancing around the studio, and Teixeira's like, what kind of maniac did I agree to work with?
That's right. He still says that.
Peter. When you were at the stadium, Steve from Brooklyn.
Oh, yes, number 3. Not at the stadium, at Citi Field.
Citi Field, sorry.
Let's listen to this. This almost was number 1 for a point, but I said Ed has to be number 1. Let's listen to Steve from Brooklyn.
How is your life completely derailed to the point where you can actually have a playoff team that's won 3 in a row and your mood is being affected in a negative way because your home run hitter wasn't pinch hit for in the 9th inning?
That's
Steve,
right,
get your
because
priorities in order, brother.
If he had a decent, kind heart, he would.
Brother, come on, take a look at the news. Watch the news for 5 minutes, Steve, and then tell me that your life is awful. You're a clown, Steve. I'm tired of the clown show. Tired of it. You've got a playoff team. You got a team that's won 3 in a row, and you're miserable because you love being miserable because that's what you're about. You're a clown, Steve. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you wasting our time on the air with your clown shoe garbage. Tired of it. Michael might want to entertain it. I'm tired with it. Lose the numbers, Steve. Tired of it.
And he goes on to say, I'm done with him. Steve is banned, and then ends it with this. He's a filthy human piece of garbage. That's how he ended it to a caller.
Wow.
That was number 3. Don?
Was I wrong? God, I just had one, and it slipped my mind as I was luxuriating into my past.
By the way, I got to tell you, if we get one more right, this has never happened. They've never all been guessed in sequential order 1 to 5. If we get the next one right.
The Pythagorean theorem says.
You know, I thought about it, but it did not make the list.
Don cannot get one.
Guy's got 1 right.
No, I did. I got the, I don't know, what was number 2 again?
Reyes.
I got the Jose Reyes. God, Peter, we've really run through some.
Peter, you want to bail him out here?
I can't believe Matt Forte didn't get it, didn't make it.
No golf is garbage. That's incredible.
Who are you taking out?
Well, we got to hear the other 2 yet.
I don't know. There's an article. Now, I'll admit I'm cheating. I'm looking right now. There's an article here on Bleacher Report at some point that said, shame on LaGreca for acting like this.
Wow. Should I just give the next 2?
Oh, I'd hate for you to do that. Come on. Well, let's get. Can you give us an era? Can you give us a time frame?
One is a football-based one. The other one is an Islander-based one.
Football-based.
Oh, the Islander-based is Are You Watching?
Let's listen to number 5. Are you watching?
But are you watching? Yeah, I'm the one guy that is.
He's lost it now. See? No, I'm just that's what it drives me crazy. Don. Oh, you couldn't say, Don, I respectfully disagree. I think this, and then we can get into a discussion. Are you watching? Yeah. I'm watching more Islander games than every single person on this floor except DiPietro.
I can't. That's the one you take off, by the way. You want?
You
said earlier.
He goes on more. We just cut it off there.
You said earlier, what's the one you take off? I think that's the one. Don, what do you think?
I mean, the ones the golf is garbage. I think is better.
You want to guess the fourth one?
What about?
That was 5 then, right? So 4.
That was 5.
Football. I've been watching it for 40 years. 40.
But that's the Pythagorean theorem.
That's the Pythagorean theorem.
That's got to be on there, Peter, right?
It's a shame that it's not.
Now, I did a lot of work on this. Don't question me. Give up on number 4?
What about Answer It? What did Answer It come from?
Answer It is number 4, Peter. Patriots Steelers. Let's listen.
Who's better, the Patriots or the Steelers? Who's better, the Patriots or the Steelers, dude? Who's better, the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New England Patriots? Answer the question. Answer it!
Right now?
Answer it! For God's sakes, 3 times I've asked you, who's better, the Patriots or the Steelers?
The Steelers. The Steelers right now, the Steelers are the better team. Anybody who watches football will tell you that New England this is a building year. They didn't even expect that.
Goodbye. Will you please hit the button for God's sakes, Michael? I'm screaming at the guy for 10 minutes.
I thought you wanted to discuss it with him.
Oh, my God.
I got jumped there, Peter. That's what made that number 4.
I think that's the only one that was pre-Peter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that
Let's go over the top 5. Ed Kranepool.
Of course.
Right, Peter.
Number 2 is Jose Reyes, we know.
Peter.
Number 3, Steve from Brooklyn. I'm tired of the clown show, you filthy human piece of garbage. Number 4, Patriots Steelers. Answer it. Please hit the button. And number 5, are you watching?
Your face, Michael, during the video of Steve when Don's screaming in public at this restaurant. And
McFadden's.
Public of Jay's, because I'm sure no one was there at that time. And you're leaning forward, almost mortified as Don's losing his mind.
Yeah, there are times where Michael is clearly entertained. Right? That was one time where he was not.
No. I don't think that anything that I do there helps the cause. You become the transcendent star, the breakout star of the show. You become Fonzie on Happy Days. I sit back and let it happen. I don't betray it with my facial expression. I let you have the stage.
That's true. He does.
I did that with Peter, with the guy Ray from North Carolina, because the guy brought up some salient points. I just let him go.
Peter,
Thank you.
I think he did a great job. Did the work. I thought it was tremendous.
He did.
I think Look at This Garbage has to replace Are You Watching?
Yeah.
Look at this garbage! Look at this garbage!
I think so too.
It's the Daily Don Show. He makes lists.
Take it away, Donnie!
All right, I'm happy with my lists every day, but sometimes I got to do some things to get people off my back and make my co-hosts happy, because ultimately that's what makes for a better show. So I think I've come up with something that you guys are not only going to enjoy, but the audience is going to be fascinated by as well. Top 5 coaching press conference rants.
Listen, Don goes tried and true, which is dial up some great audio. It's like me with ENM. You know, when you need to get a surefire hit, that's what you do. And Michael's demanded he go first recently, so I'll jump in here and get started. And just go with something that has to be top 3, or I'll walk out right now, and that would be Dennis Green.
Dennis Green, Cardinals, October 16th, 2006, after a Monday night loss to the Chicago Bears, is number 2.
The Bears are what we thought they were. What we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown them. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
I miss him terribly. The late Dennis Green, number 2.
He was awesome.
I have number 1 for you.
Yeah?
Playoffs? Talking about playoffs? Jim Mora.
Well, it's not number 1, but Jim Mora, Colts. November 25th, 2001, after a tough loss to the San Francisco 49ers.
5 turnovers. One of them, we've thrown 4 interceptions for touchdowns this year. That might be an NFL record. That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Pitiful. Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Now, I could have went with the diddly poo when he was with the Saints, but I went with that Jim Mora Colts number 4.
I don't have a specific one, but this is coaches in general, correct? All coaches?
Well, they all I'll say all 5 are in the pros.
Oh, all 5 are in the pros.
Yes.
Okay.
But you were going to go Coach Knight, weren't you?
Of course I was. I mean, even though that's considered sometimes simple assault, I was going to go Bobby Knight. Michael, is there another one jumping out in your mind?
No, not really.
This is going to take a little more work.
One of them is a local coach, and I wouldn't say that he was upset, but it's been classic, and it's really been attached to him forever. Especially when we get into the tanking conversation.
When we get into the tanking conversation.
Yes.
So it's a basketball one?
No. It could apply to the tanking conversation. Something this coach would say if Michael were to say that the Nets shouldn't try to win those games and miss the playoffs.
How about Herm Edwards?
Well, that's exactly who I was getting at. Herm Edwards with the Jets the day after a loss to the Browns, October 30th, 2002.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Wow. Herm Edwards, number 3. So you got Denny Green 2, Herm Edwards 3, Jim Mora 4, and I will give you a hint. Both are baseball managers.
Well, how about, I don't have an answer here, but how about Tommy Lasorda?
No, I thought about the Tommy Lasorda rant.
In Chicago.
In Chicago after Dave Kingman hit a bunch of home runs and the yo-yo PA announcer for the Yankees,
Paul Olden,
who I have zero respect for.
Why would you say that?
Oh, my God.
You have some nerve.
All right. I'll tell you the story. I'll do a Tales from the Crib about it, and you'll completely 100% understand.
I know what the story is. He didn't like the way you pronounced his name.
Anything local
You don't
here,
treat
Don?
people like that, Michael. And you know what? I was just an update guy. I was a lowly update guy working overnights and didn't have any standing in this business. Guess what? Tables have turned.
Oh,
if he ever said that to me again, I'd drop on his head.
Wow. What exactly did he say to you, Don? Let's not skip over this.
He comes in. He's like, "You're pronouncing my name wrong." Because he was the play-by-play guy for the Jets, and so I was doing a Jet highlight, and I'm like, Paul Olden with the call here on WFAN, Jets win, whatever. He's like, you're mispronouncing my name. I said, it's Paul Olden. He's like, no, it's Paul Olden. I said, no, I'm saying it the way I think you want me to say it. It's almost like that scene from Private Parts, WNBC. I said, right, it's Paul Olden. He's like, no, you're mispronouncing it. It's Paul Olden. Paul Olden. He's like, say my name right. It's Paul Olden. I don't know what to say to you. All right? And that was when I was working overnights. If that were to happen now,
I was making an
face dead.
Oh, that's the best timing ever done. The best drop ever laid. That was the best RJ time drop of all time. Of either of these baseball managers, Don, is either local.
Don't talk to me that way.
Neither are local.
I have. How about Lee Elia?
Michael K. Lee Elia is number 1.
I'll tell you one thing. I hope we get hotter than just to open up them 3,000 people that show up every day. Because if they're the real Chicago fans, they can kiss my ass right downtown and print it.
And they did.
It went on, Peter. I got to play. Go during the break. Do yourself a favor. A little gift from me to you.
All right.
Just Lee Elia rant during the break. Listen to the whole thing. It is exquisite. It is the best ever. Lee Elia, number one. That was April 29th, 1983, after a 3-1 loss to the Dodgers. They dropped their record to 5-14.
Can I make a suggestion for tomorrow's list? Top 5 grudges held by Don.
Oh. I got to tell you, it would be a great list.
You know I'm right about Paul, and you have my back. I understand it's uncomfortable right now. He might even be in the next booth. But
3 booths down.
Listen, nobody treats people like that.
By the way, Michael, you want radio? Go bring him in right now. You want radio? Bring him in right now.
It wouldn't be social distancing. He'd have to be right here.
That's all right. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put him on the air. Number 5, we're still looking for. Number 5.
So, did you understand? I mean, do you understand now that you mispronounced his name, Don? That would cause some ire. If somebody called you Don LaGreca, you wouldn't like it.
I didn't mispronounce his name.
It would be more like saying, no, it's Don LaGreca. Don LaGreca.
I'm Don LaGreca, sidekick to Michael K.
Maybe I didn't say the name how he wanted me to say it, but I was never going to do that because I'm not
Paul
yo-yo.
Old.
It's old. And this is me. You don't treat people like that.
Top 5 grudges tomorrow. Tune in.
Pound the desk in front of me.
I got to tell you,
you never told me that part. He pounded the desk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
One more time, Don. What did he say?
I was making an face dead. Don't talk to me that way.
This gold.
All right, you guys aren't going to get 5. I'm a little surprised by Michael because this is a classic.
Wait, baseball.
What era?
Yeah, narrow it down.
I think it's Jim Leland, doesn't it?
Early 90s.
Jim Leland.
No.
Early 90s. Give me a city.
I'll tell you. I won't give you the city. I'll tell you. He played in the same city that he managed, and he was a good player, not a great player.
Was he a good manager?
No. And his son played. His son played in the league as well.
Cal Ripken Sr.
No, but that's a good guess.
Son played in the league. Bob Boone?
No.
Ken Griffey Sr. didn't manage. Son played in the league as wow. You got me.
All right, this happened in 1993, April 26th, after a Royals 5-3 loss to the Tigers.
Oh, Hal McRae through the phone.
7-12.
Hal McRae through the phone, yes.
Hal McRae, number 5.
Don't ask me all these stupid ass questions. No.